Jitin, can you hear me? Can you see me? Hi, Jitin.
Hello, sir.
Okay, can you see me, hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
आज काफी समय बाद मैं क्लास में आई हूँ अपने असाइनमेंट पूरे करके। नहीं तो
Very
काफी
good.
समय से असाइनमेंट ही पूरे नहीं थे।
Okay. How many of you are there together, all students? तुम लोग कितने हो?
Sir, 4. Right now we are 4.
नहीं, टोटल क्लास में ऑफिशियली कितने हो?
Sir, I'm actually good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. I'm actually new, sir.
अच्छा,
And
मन.
so I'm probably meeting you for the first time today.
Okay. So where were you all these days? Mane, you're joining. You joined later.
Yes, sir.
Or,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When?
Sir, so basically, I joined last class with Ramchand sir. Ramchandran
अच्छा,
sir.
ओके.
Yes, sir.
तुम उन लोगों का एग्जाम कब है FTI का और SRFTI का?
सर अभी तक एज ऑफ यस्टरडे सर ना तो फॉर्म आया है ना कोई डेट आई, कुछ भी अभी तो नहीं है सर.
Tentatively, is it in February or is it in March? ऐसा कुछ?
Sir, last year it happened in March. On 18th March last year, I remember. Yes.
अच्छा, क्योंकि आई थिंक 1 year जो टेलीविजन कोर्स है
Yes,
उसका
sir.
हाँ
Yes, sir.
उसका ऐड आ चुका है.
4th February is the last date to apply, and 11th is the exam. 11th February.
For the 1 year television.
Yes, sir.
Isn't
PG,
it?
yes, sir. Certificate, PG certificate. 1 year.
But mainstream जो कोर्स है 3 years का उसका अभी कोई ऐड नहीं आया है.
No, sir. Nothing.
Anyway, shall we start or shall we wait for 2 more minutes?
Sir, I wanted to make a request actually. So, on the WhatsApp group, it was the time was not mentioned to submit the assignment. So I submitted late actually. So the PDF available to you, it is possible that doesn't have my assignment. So how should I?
What you can do, you can mail it to me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll write down my mail ID. Okay.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Freak shower, SHOWER, freak shower at gmail.com. gmail.com. देख लो. ला?
चैट पे भेज.
हाँ, चैट में भेज.
Yes, sir. मिल गया.
स्पेलिंग देख लो. freak shower सिंगल वर्ड Gmail. उसमें तुम भेज दो.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. अभी भेज दो.
हाँ सर, मैं तुरंत ही भेज रहा हूँ सर.
हाँ, उसके बाद हम लोग शुरू करें.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Ajay, sir, I'm requesting before writing assignment. I'm a fresher also. FTI entrance exam. So, is there any demo for questions and question answers? When I get the questions, I just wondered what I write. I'm stuck. I got in stuck, so I can't write. Also, my language problem.
Demo. There is no demo. There is no demo answer as such. Okay. There has been a book which was published by Kraft till a couple of years ago. I don't know whether that is available or not, but that will only have the questions. Okay. And not the answers. Most probably, I have not seen the book. Okay. So, Abhi, what you are asking for is a demo. Okay, demo questions और उसका demo answers. Okay, देखो demo answers are not available. Okay, and that is the test. You know, कि when you are posed a question, when you asked a question in the question paper, written exams. Okay, how would you answer? Okay, the same question will be answered by 4 different students in 4 different ways. Isn't it? So, and it's not necessary only one is correct, the rest of the 3 are not correct. ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं है. There's nothing called absolute. Okay, there's nothing called the absolute standard format. थोड़ा बहुत vary, it might vary a little from student to student. Okay, so that is also what is required. For example, I had told you a couple of classes before, when you're answering, okay, when you're writing a story, suppose you're required to write a story in 500 words about something which has, these pick out 5 sounds from the list of 10 sounds and write a story. Okay, there was a question like that a couple of weeks ago, isn't it? So a lot of you, what you had done, you had written it in the first person. I stepped out of my house, I took a bus and went to this particular town and roamed around. So immediately I told you that whenever you're writing a story, okay, for this exam, okay, don't write it in first person. Okay, there has to be a character, preferably write it in the present tense, don't write it in the past tense. Okay, so it has to be written like that. So that way what we can do, me or Ram or whoever is taking these classes, we can guide you. But there's no standard format as such.
Okay.
There's no demo answer as such. Okay.
I sent you the email.
You send me the, let me see. Naman, okay.
Yes, sir.
That is down. Okay.
So you received it?
Yeah, I've received it. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
What I'll do, I'll share the screen and with the PDF document, and we'll start. Okay. ये किसका है? तन्वी का है ना? Tanvi, this is one major problem I'm having when I'm kind of stop sharing. Can I share? I can't see your faces. That is the main problem I've been having. So,
मैं तो आपको बराबर देख पा रही हूँ और आपकी आवाज भी आ रही है.
ठीक है. Anyway, share it again. Okay, Tanvi, you start reading it. Yeah.
चलिए सर, मेरी पहली कहानी का नाम है समोसे का स्टार्टअप. 2022 में अभिनव ने अपनी
एक सेकंड. क्वेश्चन क्या है? डेवलप अ फीचर फिल्म स्टोरी ऑफ 30 मिनट्स.
शॉर्ट फिल्म्स.
Feature film story of 30-minute short film on the lines. After doing my MBA, I decided to start a national chain of hot samosa in 15 minutes at your doorstep. So this is the subject of your develop feature story.
Story लिखनी थी तो फिर.
But I think the feature film, it is about a short film, not a feature film.
ये होगा क्या? देखो, develop a feature film story of 30-minute short film. देखो, फीचर फिल्म कुछ और होता है, शॉर्ट फिल्म कुछ और होता है. यहाँ पे
तो यहाँ पे टाइम मेंशन्ड है, तो मतलब ये है कि ये शॉर्ट फिल्म स्टोरी लिखने के लिए कह रहे हैं.
30 मिनट.
यस सर.
है ना? तो
ओके सर.
देखो, एक चीज ठहरो, एक चीज मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि एनीथिंग व्हिच इज लेस देन 1 hour इज ट्रीटेड एज अ शॉर्ट फिल्म. सो अगर तुम 55 मिनट का फिल्म बना रहे हो या 5 मिनट का फिल्म बना रहे हो, इट्स ट्रीटेड एज अ शॉर्ट फिल्म. ठीक है.
तो शॉर्ट फिल्म की ड्यूरेशन कितनी भी देर की हो सकती है?
वही बता रहा हूँ ना, 1 घंटा तक. ठीक है. 1 घंटे से अगर ज्यादा हो गया, 1 घंटा 5 मिनट हो गया, 1 घंटा 7 मिनट हो गया, या 1 घंटा 20 मिनट हो गया, तो वो फीचर फिल्म कहलाता है. ठीक है. So a short film can be anywhere between 30 seconds or 15 seconds or 2 minutes or 10 minutes to 45 minutes or 55 minutes also. लेकिन अगर तुम्हारा फिल्म 55 मिनट का बन जाता है, तो हम लोग शॉर्ट फिल्म नहीं बोलते हैं, हम लोग बोलते हैं फीचर रेट. 50 मिनट का या 55 मिनट का अगर बन जाता है फीचर रेट. एनीवे, चलो पढ़ो. हाँ,
ओके, पढ़ते हैं. या सो मेरी कहानी का नाम है समोसे का स्टार्टअप. 2022 में अभिनव ने अपनी MBA की पढ़ाई पूरी कर ली थी. उसका नौकरी से ज्यादा बिजनेस करने में मन था. अच्छा, मन लिखना था, मैं लिख गया गलती से.
ठीक है, चलो, प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
हाँ, वो हमेशा से चाहता था कि उसको खुद के दम पर काम करना है. एक दिन वह अपने कजिन के घर गया था. वहां उसके भाई की बीवी ने बहुत ही टेस्टी समोसे बनाए थे. जिसमें समोसे के कई प्रकार थे, जैसे आलू का समोसा, पनीर के समोसा और यहाँ तक कि मीठे समोसे भी। अभिनव को वही बैठे बैठे आइडिया है कि क्यों ना वो समोसे का बिजनेस करे। वो और उसके कजिन साथ में मिलकर बिजनेस का आइडिया सोचते हैं, जिसके जरिए वो 15 मिनट में लोगों के घर ताजे और गर्मा गर्म समोसे पहुंचा सकते हैं। जैसे कि एक व्यवसाय है वाओ मोमोज, वैसे ही वो एक समोसे का जॉइंट खोलना चाहते थे, जिसका नाम उन्होंने सोचा था 15 मिनट समोसा। उन लोगों ने जल्द ही मार्केट रिसर्च शुरू कर दी और इसके लिए उन्होंने टीम बनानी भी शुरू कर दी। सबसे पहले उन्होंने बेहतरीन खानसामे की तलाश की। रुकिए रुकिए, ऊपर कीजिए। सबसे पहले उन्होंने बेहतरीन खानसामे की तलाश की, जिसे भारतीय और विदेशी खाने की अच्छी जानकारी रखते हैं, क्योंकि वो अलग समोसे का कारोबार करने के लिए उन्हें भारतीय और विदेशी जायके आए कीजिए उनके मिश्रित समोसे बनाने थे, तो उनकी मुलाकात एक खानसामे राजेश से हुई। राजेश जिस इंस्टीट्यूट से कुकिंग सीखता था, वहां से ग्रेजुएट हुए कुछ और खानसामों को भी उनके वेंचर में शामिल किया गया। उनके बिजनेस का मुख्य आइडिया था कि वह उनका कारोबार सभी के घर से चलाना चाहते थे, जिसमें अभिनव अपने घर से खानसामों से कनेक्ट करेगा और सभी खानसामे नीचे वर्कशॉप में ऑर्डर की कुकिंग करके डिलीवरी बॉयज के हाथों डिलीवरी करवाएंगे। अभिनव और उसके कजन्स के बिजनेस में उनके पिता और उनके चाचा ने भी बहुत साथ दिया और उनके बिजनेस में पैसा भी लगाया, जिसके कारण उन्होंने वर्कशॉप यानी किचन सेट कर ली और ग्राफिक डिजाइनर और तकनीकी टीम ने भी उनके प्रचार और हिसाब किताब को काफी अच्छे से किया, जिसके कारण वहां खूब ग्राहक आए और उनके समोसे के देशी और विदेशी और उनको समोसे का देशी और विदेशी मिश्रित समोसे बहुत पसंद आया। ये जायका काफी लोगों तक पहुंचा और देखते ही देखते उनके स्टार्टअप ने दिन दोगुनी और रात चौगुनी तरक्की की। एक बरस बाद उन्होंने समोसा चेन भारत का बेस्ट स्टार्टअप अवार्ड मिला, जिसके बाद अभिनव उसके साथी कारोबार को और फैलाने में जुट जाते हैं, जिसमें अब और इन्वेस्टर्स भी उनकी मदद करने वाले थे।
Excellent. ठीक है. So, good attempt. I'll stop sharing this thing. Okay. So that answer your face.
सर आगे के भी तो है।
क्या questions?
हाँ हाँ।
No, वो बाद में one at a time. Let me comment on this thing. देखो यहाँ पे तुमको बोला गया था कि 30 मिनट का फिल्म के लिए कहानी, ठीक है ना? तो तुमने कोई भी फिल्म कहानी के लिए देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स विच आर, तुमने क्या लिखा? तुम्हारा एक कैरेक्टर है जो मेन कैरेक्टर, हम लोग जिसे प्रोटैगनिस्ट बोलते हैं, ठीक है ना? तो प्रोटैगनिस्ट का एक उद्देश्य रहता है क्या रहता है कि ग्रेजुएशन के बाद वो नौकरी नहीं करना चाहता था, बिजनेस करना चाहता था। तो उसको आइडिया कहाँ से मिला? कहीं गया था, किसी ने बहुत सारे समोसा पकाए थे, तो उसको आइडिया मिला हम भी क्यों ना, सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ हिज कजन्स he kind of market research करता है, करके he sets up a business and he's helped by his parents and all that, put in money and the business is successful. तो देखो यहाँ पे and whenever I'm saying talking, please all of you listen. देखो यहाँ पे it's a good story, of course, what you have written, but it is not a good film story. What do I mean by it is not a good film story? Film story के लिए जो तुम्हें चाहिए, ओके, और फॉर दैट मैटर एनी स्टोरी टू मेक इट इंटरेस्टिंग, ओके, कि जब भी हमारा कुछ प्रयास रहता है, हमारा जब कोई उद्देश्य रहता है, ठीक है, हम लोग जिसे हिंदी अंग्रेजी में बोल सकते हैं डिजायर और गोल और ऑब्जेक्टिव, ओके। तो देखो 3 चीजें बहुत जरूरी होता है कोई भी फिल्म कहानी के लिए। ऐसा भी कहानी, अगर फिल्म की कहानी तुम नहीं भी लिख रहे हो, शॉर्ट स्टोरी लिख रहे हो, उपन्यास लिख रहे हो, कि एक होना चाहिए प्रोटैगनिस्ट, एक होना चाहिए, मैं लिख रहा हूँ प्रोटैगनिस्ट, ओके, ठीक है, द मेन कैरेक्टर, ओके। और प्रोटैगनिस्ट का कोई गोल बोलो, हाँ मैं लिख रहा हूँ गोल और डिजायर और ऑब्जेक्टिव, ओके, ऑब्जेक्टिव हिंदी में बोलोगे तो मकसद, हाँ, कोई मकसद रहना जरूरी होता है। This is the second element that is required. Okay. And the third element, which is required, which is very important, which adds the spice to the story is the obstacles in between. कि मैं चाहता हूं मैं समोसा का कंपनी करूं या बिजनेस करूं, रीचिंग समोसास इन 15 मिनट्स. हमारा कैरेक्टर तुम्हें पता है, उसका गोल तुम्हें पता है, समोसा का बिजनेस. बीच में कोई तुम्हारा ऑब्स्टिकल्स नहीं. ऑब्स्टिकल से ही कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बनता है.
ऑब्स्टिकल, सही बात है सर.
हाँ, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऑब्स्टिकल से ही सम टोटल ऑफ ऑल द ऑब्स्टिकल्स इज द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. ओके, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अगर तुम्हारा नहीं है तो ड्रामा नहीं बनेगा. ड्रामा नहीं बनेगा तो तुम्हारा फिल्म इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं होगा, एंगेजिंग नहीं होगा. ठीक है, तुम्हारा कहानी में सब एलिमेंट्स है लेकिन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्यों नहीं है?
यस सर, फिल्म के लिए यही जरूरी होता है.
हाँ, तो ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जानना. हाँ बोलो नमन.
Sir, I want to ask a question, sir. Sir, as you talked about conflict and कोई obstacle है, so that's right for making a dramatic sequence or a dramatic film.
Yeah,
so,
that is right. Bolo.
So my question is that a lot of times there's a complete whole lot of cinema which deals with the most natural elements in the films and the most natural interpretation of the whole scenario. And in that case, a lot of times there is actually no conflict and things are just shown the way they are. So is this rule of conflict or obstacle, so ये उससे अलग कैसे हो सकता है, या उसमें वो ड्रामा है ही नहीं, या वो कुछ एक अलग ही फॉर्म?
Your question is very, your observation is very interesting. Okay, तुम्हारा पहले तुम किस चीज के ऊपर कहानी बना रहे हो, फिल्म बना रहे हो, वो तुम्हें तय करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है ना? हाँ, तुम अगर एक शॉर्ट फिल्म बना रहे हो 5 मिनट का या 10 मिनट का, तुम शॉर्ट फिल्म बना रहे हो. हाँ, तुम्हारा कोई एक्सपीरियंस, पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस, तुम कहीं गए थे, नेचर में तुम खो गए थे. ठीक है ना? एंड नेचर ओवरवेल्म्ड यू. ठीक है, और उसके ऊपर तुम कोई कहानी फिल्म बनाना चाहते हो, तो तुम you can shoot a variety of nature shots and add music. Okay, and you make a beautiful film which did not have conflict, because वो तुम्हारा, it's almost like a poem. It's almost like a sonnet or a poem. Okay, so that is valid. What you said just now is a valid thing that you have said. Okay, Tanvi, please appear, show us our face, because it becomes very difficult if I can't see the face of the student. Okay, so लेकिन कुछ कहानी ऐसी है, इनफैक्ट 95 more than 95% स्टोरीज जो होते हैं, उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली एक ड्रामा का अंदाजा आ जाता है. ठीक है ना? ये जो कहानी तुम्हें दिया गया है आज के असाइनमेंट के लिए, तो इसमें ऑलरेडी देयर इज अ पोटेंशियल फॉर ड्रामा. कि एक बंदा, यंग बंदा है, ग्रेजुएट बन गया, वो अभी नौकरी नहीं करना चाहता, बिजनेस करना चाहता है, ये समोसा का बिजनेस. So this story, this idea itself, which you have not developed yet to a story. Okay, तो ये तुम्हें को आइडिया दिया जा रहा है, आइडिया को तुम डेवलप करके स्टोरी बनाने का है.
Right, sir.
तो इसमें ऑलरेडी एक ड्रामेटिक पोटेंशियल है. तो इसमें अगर तुम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं डालोगे, जैसे तन्वी ने कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं डाली, ठीक है, तुम अगर बनाओगे बहुत इजीली ही इज बीइंग एबल टू डू द बिजनेस. तो वो क्या होगा, ये कहानी जो ड्रामेटिकली बहुत पोटेंशियल था, वो ऑडियंस को एंगेज नहीं कर पाए.
राइट सर,
समझ गया ना? और ये 30 मिनट का या 30 मिनट का ड्यूरेशन वाला है. लंबा 30 मिनट इज क्वाइट अ लॉन्ग स्क्रीन टाइम. ओके, राइट सर. और तुम जो बोल रहे हो वो भी वैलिड है, कि तुम ऐसे ही एक फिल्म बना रहे हो, ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ पोएम. ओके, अ पोएम, देयर आर डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड द नैरेटिव पोएम. नैरेटिव पोएम मतलब जिसमें कहानी रहता है. रामायण इज एक्चुअली अ पोएम, इजंट इट? महाभारत इज एक्चुअली अ पोएम, बट इट्स अ नैरेटिव पोएम, लॉन्ग नैरेटिव पोएम. कुछ ना कुछ होता रहता है. ओके, उसलिए हम लोग प्रोज में भी पढ़ लेते हैं. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ ड्रामा, isn't it, in these epics. Okay, कोई भी हर सभ्यता का. तो अब कुछ पोएम्स ऐसी होती हैं, उतना लंबा नहीं होता है. दे आर नॉट नैरेटिव पोएम्स, दे आर लाइक दे कैप्चर अ मोमेंट. जैसे जापानीज हाइकू. हाइकू इज अ काइंड ऑफ 3-4 लाइन का एक पोएम होता है, जापानीज 3-4 लाइंस. दे जस्ट मेंशन, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ मोंटाज. दे मेंशन द सन राइजिंग, द ड्यू ड्रॉप्स, द विंड ब्लोस. सो तुम्हें एक महसूस होता है, हाँ मैं नेचर के अंदर. जस्ट दीज आर नॉट नैरेटिव पोएम्स. सो जापानीज हाइकू, तो तुमने जो बोला वो सही बात है. तो लेकिन तुम्हें अगर कोई आइडिया दे रहा है, तो तुम्हें तुरंत समझना चाहिए आइडिया में ड्रामेटिक पोटेंशियल है, तो एक्सप्लॉइट करो. ड्रामेटिक पोटेंशियल अगर नहीं है, तो यू डोंट नीड टू हैव कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. ओके, दिस आई एम टेलिंग एवरीबॉडी. ओके,
यस सर, मैंने काफी डाला है सर, काफी ऑब्स्टिकल्स डाले हैं.
अच्छा, थोड़ा ऑब्स्टिकल. ठीक है, अच्छा उसका let me finish with her. तन्वी आ जाओ, वापस आ जाओ. हाँ,
यस सर.
समझ में आया मैं क्या बोला?
हाँ सर.
हाँ, अरे यार भाग रहा है.
आया सर, मुझे एक फिल्म भी याद आई साथ में. ओके सर, तो सेकंड वाला.
हाँ, cinematic treatment of making a documentary film on Indian side. Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
excuse me, sir.
हाँ,
Sir,
बोलो.
I have a doubt. It's based on the thing you said. Films which are shorter than having 1 hour duration is considered as short film.
हाँ.
Sir, did you watch the film of Francois Profe, Antony and Colette?
What is the duration of it?
Sir, I think the duration was 33 minutes. 30 minutes.
That's a short film. That's a short film.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Francois Truffaut नहीं, Francois Truffaut, है ना? I think it's playing on movie, I think.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
हाँ, बोलो. हाँ.
Okay, yeah.
हाँ.
So, my documentary title is Sari, an Insight of Indian Traditions. Voiceover कहता है, this is a documentary based on saris that take you to the world of Indian tradition and clothing of proud Indian women. This will take you on a journey from Banarsi of Uttar Pradesh to the Kasavu of Kerala, exploring the weaving, design, and the significance. The first segment focuses on the origin. The film delves into the history of saris and their origin from the ancient roots by visiting the roots of the saris, by visiting the museums and the old shops of saris and interviewing the skilled craftsmen of the embroidery of saris. We can trace the origins of sari. The style of weaving. The makers would be exploring the diversity of weaving saris from Banarsi to Kachipuram, showcasing the difference between the weavers of different areas and the tradition of weaving. Sari and economy. The impact of Indian economy in the textile industry by the weaving of saris and the impact on the lives of the weavers and the impact of evolving technologies and the impact of ये impact इतनी बार ज्यादा आ गया या हाँ
ठीक है, चलो पढ़ो. हाँ.
हाँ इतना या. Sari as a cultural identity. This documentary also sheds lights on the cultural significance of sari in the life of a woman and the beauty of celebrations. Global impact. The film introduces viewers to the contemporary designers and entrepreneurs who are visiting traditional sari styles and promoting them on the global stage. Through the interviews with fashion designers and documentary highlights the fusion of tradition and modernity of the world in the Indian fashion. Okay. Conclusion. This would show the people of the emotions of the people about the emotions of the people attached with the sari and the legacy and the timeless nature of saris despite the changes in fashion trends. Okay, one thing I would like to say that saris and economy I can add that it shows the impact of the Indian economy and textile. No, it shows the relation of the impact of textile industry on the Indian economy and the role of weavers in the development of textile industry and the impact on them by this weaving as well as the consequences of having a machine and how it affects the weavers.
Okay. अच्छा, और तो एक चीज तुम यू कुड हैव, देखो दिस इज गुड, दिस इज नॉट बैड, ठीक है ना? तुमने शुरू किया ट्रीटमेंट, हाँ, तुमने वॉइस ओवर लिखा एंड द डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स of the subject, okay, the origins, starting from the ancient roots, and you'll visit museums and all. The makers would be exploring the diversity of the weaving of saris, वो भी तुमने दिखाया, बनारसी टू कांचीपुरम वगैरह वगैरह. ओके, फिर सारी एंड इकोनॉमी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट. कोई भी सब्जेक्ट का एक इकोनॉमिक एंगल रहता है, वो भी तुमने focus kiya. The impact of the Indian economy and textile industry weaving on the saris and the impact on the lives of the weavers. Very important. Impact on the lives of the weavers and the impact of the evolving technologies and the impact of the weaving industry. देखो यहाँ पे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट का ये आ जाता है. डॉक्यूमेंट्री में भी ना तुम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट डालने का कोशिश करो. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इज नॉट ओनली स्पेसिफिक टू दिस थिंग, अपना फिक्शन फिल्म्स. ओके, कि यहाँ पे अभी क्या है, बिकॉज ऑफ मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी, दिस इज ट्रू फॉर एनी ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट. ओके, ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट क्या होता है, फैमिलीज दे जनरली डू ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट, इजंट इट? बट विद द एडवांसमेंट ऑफ टाइम एंड एडवांसमेंट इन टेक्नोलॉजीज, a lot of these things are being done cheaply and in a very fast manner. So the livelihoods of the traditional weavers, are they kind of impacted? Are they kind of challenged? Okay, so how are they surviving? How will they survive? Are they leaving their traditional weaving livelihood and migrating to the cities and becoming darwans and drivers? This is a very important thing. So survival story, the challenges faced by modern technology. Okay, this thing should come towards the end. Okay, this negative aspect. उससे पहले साड़ी as cultural identity, this is very good. The cultural significance of the sari. Okay. Popularizing the sari amongst a lot of Indian women have forgotten how to wear the sari. Okay, and so how can one popularize the sari amongst young women today, girls who are more into Western dresses? Okay, and of course the global impact. And ultimately, last में तुम sari and economy तुम दे सकते हो. Sari and economy, the conflict that arises with how economy kind of the modern, especially the modern technology is affecting the livelihood of the weavers and how they're taking up the challenge. Okay, the conclusion में तुमने लिखे हो, this would show the people about the emotions of people. This would show the people about the emotions of people attached with sarees and the legacy and timeless nature of sarees despite the changes in fashion. ठीक है, otherwise it's good. Okay, तो समझ में आया मैंने क्या बोल रहा हूँ? Economy, the economic angle is very important. We should come towards the end. And what is the future of this industry? Okay, what is the future of this? तो साड़ी का there are two angles. एक mass manufactured sarees होते हैं और एक होते हैं जो अपने हाथों से बनाया जाता है. ठीक है ना? सो ये दोनों एस्पेक्ट तुम्हें कवर करना चाहिए. और मास मैन्युफैक्चर साड़ी तो चलो उसका एक बिजनेस एंगल है, ग्लोबल एस्पेक्ट है, बट जो हाथों से बनाया जाता है उसका फ्यूचर क्या है, उनका क्या होगा? ठीक है ना? ये भी तुम्हें डील करना जरूरी है. ठीक है, और थोड़ा सा विजुअल थोड़ा सा पुट करने का कोशिश करो. लोग साड़ी खरीद रहे हैं, लोग साड़ी पहन रहे हैं. ओके, फिल्मों में साड़ी का कैसा इस्तेमाल होता है, वगैरह वगैरह. Am I making sense? Am I being clear, Tanvi?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, समझ में आया? कोई क्वेश्चंस है तो पूछो.
No, sir.
हाँ, तुम लोगों का वर्ड लिमिट दिया गया था 500 वर्ड्स और व्हाट? Hello?
Yes, sir. There was a limit of 500 words.
500 words. I hope this is within 500 words because I'm not being able to count. Okay, chalo, Tanvi, let's move on to. So this is I'm telling to everybody. Until and unless it's a promotional film on sari. If it is a promotional film on sari, वहाँ पे conflict नहीं दिखाने का है. ठीक है ना? It's more like an advertisement. But if it is not a promotional film on sari or whatever subject, whatever is the subject, then थोड़ा सा conflict दिखाना जरूरी है. और कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जनरली ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कैसा आता है कि द चैलेंजेस इट हैज टू फेस फ्रॉम मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी एंड ग्लोबल सिनेरियो. ठीक है, ग्लोबलाइजेशन. हाउ ट्रेडिशनल हैंडीक्राफ्ट और ट्रेडिशनल क्राफ्ट इज कोपिंग विद the challenges of globalization and the challenges of modernity, the challenges of modern technology. That is a recurring theme. Tradition versus modernity. It's a recurring theme in Indian subjects. ये याद रखो, दिमाग में रखो, ये काम में देगा. कोई भी questions में ये theme जो है tradition versus modernity, can come into play. Okay, चलो. Develop a dialogue sequence between you and your father when you tell him that you want to join film direction course after doing your BTech. चलो, हाँ, करो. Tanvi. Hello, Tanvi, you were there?
Yes, sir.
Half हो गया. करो. फिर से.
कुछ नहीं, sir. Third one.
Yeah, I know. Okay, चलो पढ़ो.
Okay, sir. Third. This would allow to okay, sir. Develop a dialogue sequence between you and your father when you tell him that you want to join film direction course after doing BTech. Okay. रविवार की सुबह थी. जीतू अपने पिताजी के पास लिविंग रूम में जाता है. उस वक्त वो थोड़ा सा नर्वस होता है. शायद वो अपनी कोई गलती अपने पिताजी को बताने वाला है या फिर कोई ऐसी बात कहना चाहता है जो वो काफी समय से कहने की हिम्मत नहीं कर पा रहा था. हाँ, पिताजी, मैं आपसे एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ। जीतू के पिताजी, क्या हुआ बेटा? जीतू डरते हुए कहता है, मैं इंजीनियर नहीं बनना चाहता। फादर गुस्से में, 4 साल तक बीटेक में लाखों रुपए खर्च किए और अब महाराज को इंजीनियर नहीं बनना? क्या करोगे अपनी जिंदगी, क्या करोगे तुम अपनी जिंदगी में? जीतू हिम्मत के साथ, मैं पिताजी, मुझे फिल्म डायरेक्टर बनना है। ये भी कोई प्रोफेशन है? इंजीनियरिंग की पढ़ाई में तुम्हें लाखों रुपए खर्च कराए ताकि तुम्हें एक सुरक्षित नौकरी मिल सके तुमको, ताकि एक सुरक्षित नौकरी मिल सके तुमको। तुम्हें नहीं पता कि फिल्म बनाना कितना मुश्किल है और इस करियर में सफलता के कितने कम चांस हैं। जीतू, जानता हूँ पिताजी कि फिल्में बनाना आसान नहीं है, लेकिन मैंने ठान लिया कि मैं वो करके रहता हूँ। लेकिन मैं जो ठान लेता हूँ, मैंने जो ठान लिया मैं वो करके रहता हूँ। मेरे इरादे पक्के हैं, इसलिए आपसे कह पाया। और चाहे कितनी भी मुश्किलें आए, मेरा मकसद अगर साफ है तो मैं हासिल कर सकता हूँ। फादर, समझ गया बेटा, मैं तो बस एक पिता की हैसियत से देखना चाहता था कि तुम अपने मकसद को लेकर कितना गंभीर हो। मैं हमेशा तुम्हारे साथ हूँ। तुम अपनी जिंदगी में जो भी बनना चाहते हो बन सकते हो। मैं बस चाहता हूँ कि तुम बस सफल रहो और खुश रहो। जीतू भावुक होकर कहता है, आपने अनुमति दे दी है तो अब मैं अपना काम पूरी मेहनत और लगन से कर पाऊंगा, ताकि आपको कभी निराश नहीं करूंगा। एक दिन आपको मुझ पर गर्व होगा पिताजी। जीतू और
देखो
उसके पिताजी बाद में गले मिलते हैं।
हाँ देखो यहाँ पे क्या है, ठीक है, समझ क्या है, इट्स गुड। आई मीन नेचुरली एनी ट्रेडिशनल फैमिली, ट्रेडिशनल मिडिल क्लास इंडियन फैमिली, जहाँ पे द पेरेंट्स हैव स्पेंट सो मच ऑफ मनी on the child so that he can study engineering and have a proper job. Now this kind of a child, if he comes and talks to his father and tells him कि I want to be a filmmaker, तो कोई भी गुस्सा हो जाएगा, 99% chances. Okay, तो
सर अभी आप आगे की स्टोरीज पढ़िएगा, उसमें बताया जाएगा।
एनीवे हाँ, सो यहाँ पे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, अगेन एज आई टोल्ड यू, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्या है यहाँ पे, देखो, अगर मेन कैरेक्टर कौन है, जीतू है। जीतू का उद्देश्य क्या है, द लार्जर ऑब्जेक्टिव इज ही वांट्स टू बी अ फिल्म मेकर, बट उसका मेन ऑब्स्टेकल कौन है, फादर, ठीक है ना, ही हैज टू डील विद द फादर। ओके, तो नेचुरली द फादर विल रेजिस्ट, the father is the antagonist. Okay, if he is the protagonist, the father is the antagonist. यहाँ पे एक चीज सबको मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, एंटागोनिस्ट का मतलब हमेशा बैड मैन नहीं होता है, हाँ, दुष्ट आदमी नहीं होता है। एंटागोनिस्ट इज एनीबडी हु अपोजेस योर डिजायर, हु एक्ट्स एज अ फॉइल टू योर डिजायर, ठीक है। सो योर फादर कैन आल्सो बी योर एंटागोनिस्ट। ओके, यहाँ पे द फादर इज द एंटागोनिस्ट हु इज ट्राइंग टू काइंड ऑफ रेजिस्ट, नहीं नहीं, तो पागल हो गया क्या? ओके, यहाँ पे कोई फ्यूचर नहीं है वगैरह वगैरह, तो वो समझाता है, तो धीरे 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 फादर समझ जाता है। तो यहाँ पे मेन जो मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि जब भी तुम डायलॉग्स लिखोगे ना, लंबे लंबे डायलॉग्स मत लिखो, पैराग्राफ पैराग्राफ, लंबे लंबे पैराग्राफ नहीं लिखने का है। हाँ, छोटे छोटे लाइंस लिखने का है, टक 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 टक, जैसे द फर्स्ट कपल ऑफ लाइंस बहुत ही अच्छा है, पिताजी मैं आपसे कुछ कहना चाहता हूँ। क्या कर रहा है बेटा? मैं इंजीनियर नहीं बनना चाहता। हाँ, 4 साल में, तो दीज आर छोटे छोटे लाइन्स है, पिताजी मुझे फिल्म डायरेक्टर बनना है। तेरा दिमाग तो ठीक है ना? तो देखो, फादर का जो आंसर है, सडनली इट बिकम्स अ ह्यूज पैराग्राफ। जीतू का आंसर भी, आर्गुमेंट इज आल्सो a huge paragraph. So what you should try to do, instead of writing huge paragraphs in a dialogue scene, you should break those paragraphs into chote lines, crisp lines. Okay, so that is very very important. Clear है?
सर, यस सर।
ठीक है, क्योंकि हमेशा क्या होता है, अदरवाइज इट बिकम्स टू लिटरल। लिटरल मतलब इट डज नॉट लुक सिनेमैटिक, इट डज नॉट लुक नेचुरल, वो नेचुरल फील नहीं होता है। ओके, तो ओनली टाइम यू राइट लेंदी लेंदी पैराग्राफ्स इन डायलॉग्स इज यहाँ पे, अगर तुम्हारा कोई कैरेक्टर, कोई लॉयर है, इज फाइटिंग अ केस इन द लॉ कोर्ट, तो ही माइट स्पीक अ ह्यूज पैराग्राफ, द अदर
या
डिफेंस लॉयर, बट
या
जब,
फिर सर उसका कोई इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट हुआ हो।
हाँ, वो भी अगर इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट होएगा, तो सपोज यू राइट अ लॉन्ग पैराग्राफ, बट देन अगेन इट हैज टू बी फॉलोड बाय छोटे छोटे लाइंस। ऐसा नहीं है कि उसके बाद अगेन देयर इज अ लंबा पैराग्राफ, उसके बाद फिर से लंबा पैराग्राफ, उसके बाद फिर से लंबा पैराग्राफ, वो बोरिंग हो जाता है। कभी कभी तुम लंबा पैराग्राफ लिख सकते हो, लेकिन नॉट ऑलवेज, ठीक है ना? ओके, चलो, अभी क्या है, चूज वन डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म बाय वन ऑफ दीज टू डायरेक्टर्स एंड राइट 8 पॉइंट्स ऑफ फिल्म अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ दैट फिल्म। सुखदेव और आनंद पटवर्धन, तुमने किसको चूज किया है?
आनंद
क्रांति की
पटवर्धन।
तरंगे, हाँ, ओके,
हम्म
करो।
क्रांति की तरंगे बाय आनंद पटवर्धन। या सर, तो
ये फिल्म कब बनी है?
1974-75 के बीच में, क्योंकि इसका जो थीम है डॉक्यूमेंट्री का, वो भी सर इतिहास में एक बहुत ही बड़ी घटना के ऊपर है। वो है 1974-75 में हुई थी, जो कि था जेपी मूवमेंट।
अच्छा, ओके ओके, ठीक है, चलो पढ़ो। हाँ,
ओके। सो हिस्टोरिकल तो क्रांति की तरंगे आनंद पटवर्धन की एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री है जो कि जेपी मूवमेंट के ऊपर बेस्ड है, जो कि 1974 में हुआ था युवाओं के द्वारा, जिसने बिहार में काफी अच्छे से जोर पकड़ा था। तो फिर ये है मेरा रिव्यू। इसका हिस्टोरिकल कंटेक्स्ट काफी ज्यादा अच्छा है, क्योंकि डॉक्यूमेंट्री जो है वो उस रेवोल्यूशन का बेस बहुत अच्छे से बनाती है, अपने सब्जेक्ट का बहुत अच्छे से बेस बनाती है। लाइक 1970s में जो पॉलिटिकल लैंडस्केप था जिसमें पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी थी और यूथ काफी अग्रेसिव था, जिसके कारण प्रोटेस्ट हुआ करते थे, वो काफी अच्छी तरीके से इस डॉक्यूमेंट्री में बताया गया है।
देखो
नाउ
यहाँ पे
देन
क्या है, सुनो सुनो, यहाँ पे एक चीज क्या है, यहाँ पे यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू चूज वन पर्टिकुलर डॉक्यूमेंट्री film made by either of these two directors, Anand Patwardhan हो या सुखदेव हो. Then you write these points. कितने points बोले हैं? At least 8
आठ
points. Okay. The
8
first thing that you have to do is write a small one or maximum 2 lines. चलो 3 lines I can also permit. What is the film about? Anand
ओके।
Patwardhan's Kranti Ki Tarangi in bracket में whatever the year it was made deals with dot 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 dot. ठीक है ना?
हाँ
2-3 lines. So whoever is reading it will immediately know, okay, this film deals with this aspect and not that aspect. It does not deal with dance bars in Bombay. It does not deal with the war situation in the Gulf.
या
समझ गया ना? So
हाँ
it deals
बताना
with
चाहिए
this.
था।
So थोड़ा सा introduction, not more than 2 to 3 lines. Okay, preferably one single line. We call it the log line or the premise. What is the premise of the documentary, or what is the log line of the documentary? ठीक है, चलो फिर उसके बाद तुम हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट, राइज ऑफ द मूवमेंट, ये
हाँ
पॉइंट्स तुम ला सकते, ठीक
okay,
है,
yeah.
चलो।
Now the second point is rise of the movement. Documentary starts with the background of the subject, which are the social problems leading to the social movement of 1974, known as the Jai Prakash movement. The documentary tells us the fact that how the social justice movement started from Gujarat and later reached to Bihar, which was led by Jai Prakash Yadav.
जयप्रकाश यादव और जयप्रकाश नारायण?
पता नहीं सर, कहीं पे शायद गलती से मैंने लिख दिया
नारायण
होगा।
होगा,
जयप्रकाश
जयप्रकाश,
नारायण थे,
हाँ
जयप्रकाश
हाँ,
नारायण,
ठीक
सॉरी।
है।
Yeah, okay. Now, the great thing about this documentary is the leadership of Jayaprakash Narayan. Yeah, it's the subtle heroism of Jayaprakash Narayan that showed that how the leadership and influence of Jayaprakash ji has influenced the students and the youth to join the movement. Like
ओके,
there is a scene in which it is said about the youth to boycott their college and join the protest. तो इसमें ये था कि यूथ को किस तरह से इस मूवमेंट में लाया गया था, द
ठीक
रोल
है,
ऑफ द यूथ। दिस डॉक्यूमेंट्री शोड द यूथ and the youth power in the movement, that show that how the students joined the demonstration and the protest and even boycotted their college to take part in the protest. Authenticity: the documentary has the footages of the influential speeches and the demonstrations, as well as the interviews of the people participating in the protest, which was very informative about the subject of the documentary, and told that how that why people are protesting and how they are doing it. Yeah. Presentation: the documentary shows the growth of the movement by writing the month on the paper and then showing the news reports and the status of the protest, and then the footage of the demonstration of the protest. The film gives the detail and the film gives the detail of the growth and the impact of the protest by using the montage editing. Portrayal of the movement: Kranti Ki Tarange vividly portrays the spirit of non-violent civil disobedience movement. It captures the resonance, protests, strikes, and demonstration that disrupted the normal life, conveying the unity and the determination of the people. Yeah, the climax. The climax of the documentary was negative as it gave the information about the darkest chapter of Indian history, which is the emergency. This might be a negative climax, but somehow it shows the large and the lasting impact of the JP movement, that the central government was also scared of it and imposed a movement which was used to suppress the voice of the critics of the government.
क्रिटिक्स स्पेलिंग गलत है, CRITICS होगा, ठीक है, ये क्रिटिक का मतलब कुछ और है। देखो सही है, अच्छा किया तुमने, और जो मैं डर रहा था वो नहीं है, तुमने प्रेजेंटेशन के बारे में भी लिखा। कोई भी फिल्म जो है, डॉक्यूमेंट्री हो या फीचर फिल्म हो या फिक्शन फिल्म हो, शॉर्ट फिल्म हो या लंबा फिल्म हो, तो एक तो होता है सब्जेक्ट, ठीक है, और एक होता है ट्रीटमेंट, ठीक है। सब्जेक्ट इज बेसिकली द कंटेंट क्या है, ओके, और ट्रीटमेंट इज और द फॉर्म की कंटेंट को डील कैसा किया गया है, व्हाट इज हाउ इट हैज बीन प्रेजेंटेड, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड स्पेशली बिकॉज यू आर फिल्म स्टूडेंट्स or you're trying to be film students trying to get into a film school, the presentation aspect is also very important, equally important. Okay, how it is shown, tumne likha the documentary shows the growth of the movement by writing a month on the paper and then showing the news reports of the status of the protest and then the footage of the demonstrations of the protest. The film gives a detail of the growth and the impact of the protest by the use of montage editing. So tumne ye presentation matlab style kya hai film ka, you know, the treatment kya hai, okay, वो बारे में भी तुमने लिखा, तो सही लिखा, which is good, and you have, of course you have covered all the other aspects, historical, the rise of the movement, why it was important and why it was popular, why what was it relevant, plus the mention of this thing. Where did you gather all this information from? कहाँ से मिला इतना information?
Information कहाँ से मिला?
हाँ,
ये सर मैंने कल रात में डॉक्यूमेंट्री देखी थी ये वाली।
अच्छा, देखा थे तुम, अच्छा, ओके।
अच्छा सर, आज के प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में पूछना था सर कि आज जो असाइनमेंट दिया गया है कि इसमें हमें फ्रेंच न्यू वेव के 4 डायरेक्टर्स के बारे में लिखना है और उनकी एक-एक फीचर फिल्म के बारे में लिखना है। तो सर एक ही समय, थोड़े ही समय में 4-4 फिल्में 1-1 घंटे की देखना, 1-1.5 घंटे की देखना, फिर
ये
इसके बाद
ये कल के लिए है ना, ये प्रोजेक्ट कल के लिए है।
हाँ, तो फिर बस ये है कि इतने कम टाइम में इतना सारा कैसे हो पाएगा?
देखो, कम लिखो, हाँ, वो मुश्किल तो है, हाँ। तो कल का टॉपिक कुछ और रहेगा, है ना, दैट इज आइडिया, है ना। हाँ
हाँ,
अच्छा, चलो एक खत्म करते हैं, चलो, देन विल डील विद दैट, ओके।
ओके सर, तो मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन हो गई है।
हाँ, अभी नेक्स्ट कौन है, आ जाओ, नेक्स्ट इज अजय।
Yes, sir.
You have not done the first one?
Yes, I did that. I read more time. I don't understand that. I
अच्छा,
couldn't get.
चलो, क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 बोलो, राइट अ
Yes, sir.
डॉक्यूमेंट्री ऑन इंडियन साड़ी।
Yeah. Answer. First one, title: Indian Sari. Indian sari is a traditional cloth and is more used in South Asian countries. Second, logline of the film. The logline of the film is telling the history of silk saris from Kanchipuram. These saris are renowned for their rich texture, vibrant colors, and intricate sari work. Third
So
one,
you're
key
concentrating
characters.
concentrating only on Kanchipuram sarees, not other sarees?
No, Kanchipuram sari.
अच्छा, ठीक है, but don't write, for you're writing logline of the film, again you're writing the logline of the film is telling the story, no, you're repeating it, no? The logline of the film, colon, it tells the story, it tells the history of silk sarees, so that should be the beginning of the sentence. It tells the story of logline, दो बार मत repeat करो, ठीक है। Who are the key characters? Villagers from Kanchipuram, sari spinners from village. Okay, अच्छा, let me read it because we are a little short of time, so summary of the story. The film starts with the Kanchipuram temple. How is the silk sari related to traditional events at the temple? Kanchipuram is always known as a center of silk saris, telling the history of silk sari and telling about the village. The traditional design of the sari comes from the temple. These are found in the stones of the temple, the stone sculptures of the temple, isn't it? So telling the history by a villager of Kanchipuram. But यहाँ पे you have to write where is Kanchipuram temple, that you have not mentioned.
Okay.
Isn't it? Kanchipuram temple, is it in Kerala or is it in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka? Which district? How old is the temple? A little bit, 1 or 2 lines max about the background of the temple. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Then the theme. Cultural history is the main plot of this documentary film. So conveying history is very important to the silk sari. Okay. Then, एक second. अच्छा, बस इतना ही?
Yes,
this is too
just
short.
write in Malayalam, but I cannot.
No, this is too short. It cannot be so short, na? I mean, if you're making a film, a 30 minutes, documentary on Indian sari, okay, there has to be more to it.
Okay.
I mean, how the sari is manufactured, and talk a little bit about show the people who are manufacturing these saris. is the sari manufactured traditionally in private houses, or they are mass manufactured? As I was telling Tanvi before, most of these kind of handicraft or this kind of a local craft all over India, generally they are made by the people in the family, but with the advancement of time and technology, modern technology, these traditional forms of the methods of manufacture are being challenged by the modern technology, because the modern technology can mass manufacture anything. Okay, so what is the future of these people? How are they coping with this new modern advanced technology? Okay, are they becoming poorer? Are they leaving their traditional this thing? Are they migrating to the cities and taking up different jobs? Okay, so these aspects also, the economic aspect also, you should mention. What is the government doing to protect this industry? Okay, if it is in doldrum, if it is going through a lean phase, is the government doing anything for the welfare of the people, to maintain this old tradition which goes back so many thousands of years? Okay, so this is very important. And how is it becoming a fashionable thing? Young women in cities, are they wearing this saris? The saris are supposed to be very expensive. Are they meant only for the rich people? What about the ordinary people? What about the middle class people? Or do the middle class people wear these kind of saris only during their weddings? Otherwise not. Okay, so there are so many different aspects, so many different angles you could have dealt this film from, which you have not covered. तुमने हड़बड़ी में लिखा है, so थोड़ा सा detailing करो. That's very important. Okay. Then develop a dialogue sequence between you and your father when you tell him that you want to join film direction course after doing your BTech. Answer: it is morning time. Me sitting on the floor and trying to untie shoes from my legs. Dad comes and sits in front of the house. Dad, where are you going? I just came after jogging, Dad. I know, I do not mean that. Dad took a newspaper and starts to read. I just look back at him. Me. Then what are you talking about? Dad bolta, you graduated in 2019 and you went to study PSC. You couldn't focus on your studies. Then you went to the accounting course. After getting a job, you resigned and studied a media course. I don't understand. After some time, me, Dad, I want to join FTI. What? FTI, Dad, film student in Pune. I want to be a filmmaker. Dad has not replied for some time. Dad, the lamba answer deta hai. I was very hard when I was working in Mumbai. Sometimes my pocket was empty. I walked everywhere. Then I met my friend Jamal. He offered me a job. Then I tried hard to become a businessman. Some people cheated me. Then I got an accident. I came back to Kerala. Then my dad gave me a job. It is not easy to say you want to become a filmmaker, but what is the purpose? Is that money or recognition? Anyway, you have to learn more about in that industry. Dad tried to go inside the house. Dad, yes, I know I'm in comfort zone, but I need to prove myself. I want to try. If I fail, I get to film. Maybe I will stop. Fail. It's very easy to say to recover from fail. Like I'm not being able to understand, but in real, it's very hard. Do understand. Okay. I know that you asked what the purpose is. Dad, there is no purpose. I want to communicate, Dad. I want to communicate my story. The son says, my vision, my politics to the audience. It's a very silly matter when you're hearing, but I'll be happier when I'm doing this. Of course, it will get more recognition, but more than that, I'm looking for storytelling. It's a long process. I need to study more, so I choose FTI. But as of now, FTI won't choose me. What if you fail? We'll try again next time. Or if I get fail in next, I don't know. That went without saying. Okay, this is better in the sense that I mean, even the son is not very confident, and the father understands the dilemma. The father himself has gone through similar experiences and is trying to talk from his experience and try to lecture the son. It's very easy to say you can deal with failure, but you may not be able to deal with failure. Okay, so what I like about this thing is your dialogues are very short. These are not long dialogues, except a couple of portions. But dad ka dialogues aata hai. I was very hard working when I was working in Mumbai. It's a long paragraph, but it's needed here. The context is needed here. Then again, it's followed by short lines, crisp lines. Okay, and then again, there's a lamba line by the student, by the young fellow. Okay, So yeah, you can shorten this. There is no purpose. I want to communicate my story, my vision, my politics to the audience. You can shorten this by at least 1/3. What if you fail? So yeah, so there are only two paragraphs which are actually big. Otherwise, the other lines are very short and crisp, and it's good. Okay, choose and always write, as I told you in the present tense. Don't write "Dad went" without saying nothing. Dad goes inside without saying anything. Okay. Choose one documentary film by one of the two directors and write 8 parts of film representation of that film. Sukhdev or Anand Padwar. Choosing Anand Padwar in the name of God documentary film explores the campaign waged by the Hindu right-wing organization Vishwa Hindu Parishad to build a Ram temple at the site of the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya, as well as the communal violence that it triggered. It is a huge risk that the maker takes when the issue during that time. Okay. Risk taking. Risk taking is a factor of a successful businessman. After all, cinema is also a business. But when it comes to this film, the craftsman takes a huge risk, that is his life. He runs to the streets, takes the camera, shoots the incidents. Okay. So there's a risk involved, personal risk to his life also. Through all the perspectives, maker could tell the real story from different perspectives. He is not categorizing one side's perspective, but he stands only with the real sense. So he's covering different points of views, not only a single perspective. Okay, the director's politics. Not every filmmaker has their politics, but in this documentary, Anand Padwar tells his politics. After watching the film, ashamed of ourselves, in that way he succeeds. Okay, so that this film makes you kind of ashamed of your stance, neutral stance, so you feel ashamed. Okay, in that way the film is a success. Critical acclaim. Critical acclaim is positive reviews from critics and audiences can contribute significantly to the film success. Education documentaries often aim to inform and educate viewers about a particular subject. This film conveys its message and stimulates interest in the topic. Okay. Social issue. The film focuses on social issues and that makes an impact on viewers. It raises awareness and inspires action. Awards. In the name of God, film can get awards and festival recognition. It can get a wide awareness about the film and cover a wide area. Therefore, what do you mean by it can get awards? It has already got awards.
Yes.
Because this is a very old film. This film was made way back in the when the movement was happening, isn't it?
Yes, what if? It's just a mistake.
Yeah. So point number 8 is what if. The film is also about social issues. So when watching the film, viewers are thinking, what if matters to change the good life? There is a scene where beggars are told they are not educated, so couldn't change the world. In that way, maker succeeds in thinking about their issues in the viewer's mind. So yeah, so you mean to say the film also deals with social issues. So when watching the film, viewers are thinking, what if matters? What?
So in that way, I think, what if I am in there, I was in there in that area, what I do, and then I thought, because I think I am in a privilege. I'm in comfort zone, so I just write down that I mean that answer.
Okay. ठीक this is good. I mean, you have been able to express yourself. And यहाँ पे एक चीज देखो मैं सबको बताना चाहता हूँ. This is kind of, let me stop sharing. Yeah. The question about Anand Padwardhan and Sukhdev. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if anybody else can cover Sukhdev or not, but Sukhdev.
Yes, sir. Anand An Indian Day by S. Sukhdev.
That's very good. You have done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Anand Padwardhan, abhi kya hai? These kind of questions, if you're choosing Anand Padwardhan is anti-establishment. He was always anti-establishment. The Congress is in power, he is anti-Congress. The BJP is in power, he is anti-BJP. All his subjects, the subjects that he deals with are the anti-government subjects. He's always criticizing the government. Okay. And he has a very kind of, I wouldn't say extremist point of view. He has got some kind of a point of view which is kind of goes against the official version. Okay. So what I guess is this, when you are being asked to answer this kind of questions, the examiners are also trying to gauge your politics. What is the politics of this topic? Okay. So you have to play very safe. I'll not tell you anything more than that. Okay. You have to play very safe. Maybe they are trying to understand whether you're a potential troublemaker or not. If you get into FTI, you'll create troubles for them or not. You get into strikes or not. So you have to be very smart to understand. Even if you suppose you like Anand Patwardhan, okay, don't write we should have more filmmakers like Anand Patwardhan and all. I'm not saying criticize him. Of course, don't criticize him because maybe you really like him. But your appraisal of a filmmaker like Anand Patwardhan has to be a little balanced. Okay, don't go overboard in your kind of fantastic filmmaker. The kind of subjects that he chooses kind of really enthralls you. We should all be doing this, blah, blah, blah. So then you are betraying your politics. Don't try to betray your politics. Try to have a very clinical kind of an appraisal of any filmmaker that you admire or you don't admire. A question could also be, write about a filmmaker whom you don't admire. Write about a film that you've not liked. Okay, so try not to betray your politics. Try to play safe. This I'm giving my personal suggestion there. Okay. Because you do not know the politics of the guy who's going to check your answers. Okay. Chalo, the next one is Ananya. Tum ho?
Yeah, sir. Am I audible?
You're audible. Lekin mara.
Yeah.
Chalo, pado. You have not skipped the first question. Okay.
Anything. So, so the second treatment of making a documentary on Indian sari. If I make a documentary on Indian sari, it will be a 4 or 4.5 long documentary because I will be covering all the Indian saris according to the state which they belong to. The Muga sari of Assam. I will show the culture of Assam through visuals and audio, then record the visuals of how Muga caterpillars' cocoon are woven into a single seamless long thread. Intersperse it with interviews of the weavers that how do they protect the Muga caterpillars? Are their wages in accordance to their labor? And what is the future of Muga silk in the coming years?
Very good.
I will intercut these interviews with Muga rearers and protectors, protecting the plants on which the caterpillars lay their eggs from predators. I will put voiceover when I show women wearing Muga silk sari that it can last for up to 100 years and can absorb 85% UV rays. I will also take interviews of the consumers of Muga silk and how do they feel that it is one of the best saris? How is it different from other saris in India? And what do they think when it comes to the pricing of these saris? Because it is fairly expensive. I will intercut the interviews of the consumers and makers of the sari together so that the audience is well informed. I will end this segment of my documentary by showing women twirling, wearing Muga silk saris. In the next segment, I will take Kanjivaram sari from Tamil Nadu. I will open this segment of documentary by showing the visuals of temples in Tamil Nadu, their food, and how are they in general. Then I will move on to show the popularity of the sari when people go to shops during festivals or dance or music recitals to buy saris. Then I will show the weavers weaving sari with zari thread, which comprises 40% silver thread and 0.5% gold. This time, I will show why Kanjivarams or Kanjipurams are expensive, which can cost up to 1 lakh by interviewing women and sellers in a shop. Then I will cut to 3 or 4 laborers working on a single Kanjivaram because of the intricacies of the sari. I will end this segment of my documentary by showing women wearing Kanjivaram or Kanjipuram saris to temples. I would make such segments on each sari of India, whether it is Chinkari saris from Uttar Pradesh or Tatesh sari from West Bengal. I will cover each culture as well because culture, food, religion and history of a particular place affects dressing or in this case saris of that area.
This is fantastic. I think you have done very well. Okay. It's only 2 things I have to point out. You have written one single long sentence, paragraph. That becomes monotonous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is number 1. You should break it. Assam ka jab tum deal kar rahe ho, Assam, devote 1 paragraph to Assam. another paragraph to Kanchivaram, and kind of, or last paragraph you can cover UP and Bengal and etc. etc. Okay. So break it into, give small headings. What are the headings? Okay. So make it a little visual in that way, so it's easy to read. Otherwise, इतना लंबा कोई पैराग्राफ देखेगा तो थोड़ा यार कितना लंबा पैराग्राफ लिखा है. That is attitude, number one. Number two, try to get rid of the I. Okay. Okay. It has to be a little impersonal. Okay. It has to be a little impersonal, and because when you're writing a project report, okay, you cannot get your the emotions and sentiments in the project report. It has to be a little clinical. Okay.
Okay.
This is one thing, and what I like about is this key. You have covered all the aspects of the buyers and the sellers and the women wearing saris, they visiting the temples, and the workman working together on a particular Kanjivaram sari, and the constituents of the sari, just like 40% silver thread and 0.5% gold. You have gone into the details, which is very good. Okay, so this is what is required from others also. Get into the details, show the people, show the sellers, the manufacturers, the people who are weaving, the weavers, show the people who are the buyers, the consumers, okay, and the context also. कौन सा context में ये लोग ये साड़ी पहनते हैं, price also, okay, the economic aspect also, so of course the cultural aspect, okay, and the universal appeal of the sari, because throughout the length and the breadth of the country, the vast land, every state, every women of every state, eventually they wear saris at least on certain occasions. Okay, so this is very well written. You have to be a little visual, bas. Okay, okay. Chalo, then dialogues again. You've written a lamba paragraph. You've not
that
all.
Sir, I have written it more like a short story, sir, because only dialogues, it looks very weird.
I know, but the dialogue should also be interspersed with visuals, ना? मतलब थोड़ा सा visual element भी तो होना चाहिए ना? When somebody is speaking dialogues, he's also doing something, ना?
Yes.
Okay, he's doing something or sitting somewhere. He takes up a cup of tea, takes a swig, maybe, keeps it back. The father gets up and walks towards the balcony, takes the towel. So these kind of visuals, so makes it more interesting. Okay, it cannot be just dialogue. Though it's supposed to be a dialogue scene that you're required to write. Okay, so again, you should have broken it into small lines, small paragraphs to make it more readable. Okay. Anyway, chalo paro, chalo start reading.
Manohar sips his tea, reading the newspaper, the soft rays of the sun caressing his hand. That's when his daughter Asha walks into the room and says, "Baba, मुझे आपसे कुछ जरूरी बात करनी है." Manohar, not taking his eyes off of his paper, says, "बोलो." "Baba, मुझे नौकरी नहीं करनी. मुझे." As Asha says her lines, she stammers and fidgets with her hand. "मुझे film director बनना है." Manohar finally puts his newspaper down and says, "बेटा, ऐसी सीरियस बातों पर मजाक नहीं करते." आशा, "बाबा, ये मजाक नहीं है. मैं ऑलरेडी मेरे फिल्म डायरेक्शन कोर्स के लिए पैसा जमा मैंने कर लिया है." मनोहर, "पैसे कहाँ से आए तुम्हारे पास? आप जो पॉकेट मनी देते हैं और मैंने मेरी सोने की ज्वेलरी बेच दी." आशा falls to the ground at her father's knees and says, "बाबा, मैंने ये इसीलिए किया क्योंकि मैं आप पर और पैसों का दबाव नहीं डाल सकती. आपने ऑलरेडी मेरे बीटेक के लिए कितना खर्चा किया है." Manohar gets up angrily and walks across from her and says, तू मेरी बेटी हो ही नहीं सकती. मुझसे बिना पूछे इतना कुछ कर दिया और सोच भी लिया. अच्छा है तुम्हारी माँ जिंदा नहीं है, कम से कम उन्हें ये दिन देखना ना पड़ता. आशा gets up, wipes tears across her face and says, "बाबा, आप ये क्या बोल रहे हो? मैंने हमेशा से आपकी बात मानी है, आपको खुश करने की कोशिश की है. इतने सालों में मैं पहली बार अपने दिल की सुनना चाहती हूँ और आप मेरी बात को समझो." मनोहर, "इसमें समझना क्या है? तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब है? पैसों का क्या? स्टेबिलिटी का क्या? चलो मान लेते हैं तुमने नाम कमा भी लिया, लेकिन पैसों का क्या? जब अपने दोस्तों को बड़े घर और बड़ी गाड़ियों में देख के ये सह पाओगे? और तुम्हारा घर में और हमारे घर में नाच गान नृत्य और नाटक को पेशा नहीं बनाते, अपने शौक तक ही सीमित रखते हैं." आशा, "बाबा, मुझे सब मंजूर है, केवल आपकी ना नहीं. और यही अगर माँ की बात है, अगर आज वो जिंदा होती और मुझे सुनती तो वो बहुत खुश होती." मनोहर yells, "अपनी माँ को बीच में मत लाओ. गलती मेरी है कि तुझे कि तुझे इतना सारा छूट दे दिया, अपने बाप से जबान लड़ाती है, तुझे जो करना है तू कर, मेरी सहमति नहीं है, आखिर पैसे मेरे नहीं है. Manohar walks angrily towards his chair, sits down, picks up his newspaper and leaves through the pages frustratingly. The sunlight has diffused dramatically. Asha looks at her father and leaves. Tears roll down her eyes. Upon reaching her bedroom, she unhooks her mother's image from the wall, hugs it tightly, and as she lies on her bed weeping, she falls asleep hugging her mother's picture.
Very good. Nothing to say. Good conflict between father and daughter. Okay, it's also very visual. तन्वी कुछ बोलना चाहती है.
प्रयागी, मैं ऐसे ही पूछना चाहती थी तुम्हारे बारे में. मतलब मैं कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं करना चाहती, बस ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि ऐसे आप नेगेटिव एंडिंग कैसे रख रहे थे. मतलब ऐसे
मैं समझी नहीं. एज इन मतलब नेगेटिव एंडिंग मतलब कि इन द
मतलब ऐसे कि जो फादर होता है, मतलब वो बेटी से ये तक कहता है कि मतलब तुम अगर इस फील्ड में जाओगे तो पैसा नहीं कमा पाओगे. मतलब
अरे देखो, अभी आई बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, एक तो 5, क्योंकि एग्जाम में 10 मिनट्स से ज्यादा और 9 मिनट से ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है कि सोचने का. तो यू नो जो दिमाग में आता है वो आई राइट. इट्स नॉट समथिंग आई एंजॉय राइटिंग सैड स्टोरीज, है ना. मुझे तो पॉजिटिव लिखना भी बहुत अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन इतना कम टाइम में जो फटाफट, इसलिए मैंने पहला वाला नहीं लिखा क्योंकि मेरे दिमाग में कुछ नहीं आया.
देखो, I'll tell you. I'll answer. Try to answer Tanvi. So it's not a question of whether it has a negative ending or a positive ending. It has to have some kind of a conclusion. It has to have this conflict. Any kind of conflict has to have some kind of a outcome. You know, the outcome did not be happy or positive or negative. You know, there's an organic growth.
नहीं, सबके अपने अपने वो होते हैं, सबके अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव्स होते हैं. मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव इस
अनन्या
चीज
जो
पे
अभी
बहुत ही
बोली
ज्यादा
कि
पॉजिटिव.
अगर 10 मिनट मुझे मिल रहा है ये आंसर लिखने के लिए, तो एग्जामिनर भी समझ जाएगा कि मतलब naturally you cannot kind of use all the intellectual faculties कम टाइम में. वो टाइम लगता है थोड़ा सा, you know, to polish your stories, rewrites वगैरह वगैरह, जो तुम्हें ये 3 घंटा या 2 घंटा तो मुझे मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा. ठीक है. सो एक ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, एक ऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, एंड देयर इज अ कंक्लूजन वो भी होना चाहिए. ठीक है. चलो, I'll share the screen again, and last question is
choose one documentary by one of the 2 directors and write 8 points on.
Okay.
What to write the premise, sir, आपने कहा था सब to write that. राम के नाम by Anand Patwardhan 1991. History, first point. In Ram Ke Naam documentary, as well as the recent interviews of Anand Patwardhan, talks about how Babri Masjid was built in the 16th century by Babur, and after 50 years, Tulsidas wrote Ramcharitramanas and popularized Ramayana. But before 16th century, there weren't a lot of Ram temples, but temples of other deities. He presented his arguments with facts that in 1949, a Hindu priest, he was interviewed in his documentary as well, entered Babri Masjid and installed Ram idols because he had a revelation in his dream that baby Ram was born there. Second point is fanatism. This documentary showed how violent people can get in the name of religion. The filmmaker doesn't side with the Hindus or the Muslims, but sides with peace and equanimity. Anand Patwardhan does this when he interviews Baba Lal Das, court-appointed priest in Ayodhya in 1983. He said blatantly that there was never a ban on building temples, and wherever God sits is a temple. It's a political game. We were shown people brutally murdered in the name of religion in this documentary. Third, lack of education and awareness. When the people in the documentary were advocating that Babri Masjid should be demolished, they were asked by the filmmaker if they knew when exactly Ram was born, which is the reason behind the entire dispute. The answers were vague, and there was no concrete evidence as to support their cause that caused people to die in the riots. Majority of the people supporting the cause were uneducated and unaware, which has been portrayed in the documentary. People are ready to fight and kill in the name of God, but when asked about the historical accuracy, not religion-based accuracy, they had no answers. Fourth point, different points of view. Sir, I should read. Different points of views. Anand Patwardhan has showcased points of views of different people without fabricating the truth. He has shown fanatic Hindus advocating for the demolition of Babri Masjid, and sensible Hindus who said in the interviews that how How would a Hindu feel if someone demolished a temple? Even the untouchables, a bizarre term invented by society, gave interviews which pointed at the hypocrisy of the pundits who would make them do all the work and then tell them to stay away and not touch their utensils. Fifth point, not marketed enough. This documentary should have gotten more recognition, but what the Doordarshan, but what the Doordarshan channels did was show Ramayana on televisions instead of making people aware of the chaos through this documentary, which may have consolidated the religious fanaticism later now. This documentary did win a national award for best investigated documentary. Point number 6, intolerant. An important leader in the documentary, who is a Hindu, reminds people of its history, that during the British rule, Hindus and Muslims fought side by side, and he understands that it is a matter of faith for the Hindus and that every piece of land in Ayodhya is pure. But he requests the people not to demolish Babri Masjid. He reminds people that in Hinduism, there is tolerance, and in tolerance, there is humanity as well as caste system. That's why many revolutionaries have raised their voices against caste system, so that people of different races become tolerant towards each other. Relevancy of this documentary now. The Ram Mandir, which will be inaugurated on 22nd of January, might probe people to watch this documentary and understand how relevant it is to the present time in terms of politics, religious fanaticism, and the history behind the inauguration of this mandir. It will make audiences aware about our historical facts, not religious literature. Anand Patwardhan said in a recent interview in terms of this documentary, Ram Ke Naam, he said that as far as archaeology is concerned, when Ayodhya was dug, it suggests a Buddhist period called Saket.
Okay. Again, this is very good, very well written. So again, I want to mention two things. First of all, तुमने जो नहीं लिखा वो भी लिखना चाहिए, because you're wanting to be a film student or a filmmaker. How तुमने content के बारे में लिखा और सही लिखा, ठीक है ना? लेकिन तुमने treatment के बारे में नहीं लिखा. मतलब the presentation, the treatment, the visual treatment, okay, whether any voiceover has been used or not.
Okay, that I was more stuck in content.
Because कोई भी film का work of art का एक होता है content, एक होता है form. Content is अंदर क्या है, कहानी क्या है, content क्या है, ठीक है, क्या दिखाया जा रहा है. That is the content. Or form is the shape, the treatment that you give. Okay, so treatment covers, of course, the visual treatment and the oral treatment. Music कैसा है, handheld camera है कि नहीं, how long was it shot, okay, stuff like that. One of the students, I think, has done that. I think Tanvi has done that. Okay, so that is missing. Presentation, the treatment or the presentation, whatever you call it. Okay, so this is number one. Number two, again, as I was telling Tanvi and the other boy from Kerala, now, because of the times that we live in, there are certain questions which might want to elicit your political orientation. Okay, na? So you have to play very safe. Okay.
So that's my point.
क्या बोल रहे हो?
इसलिए सर मैंने मेरा point of view उतना दिया नहीं,
नहीं, point of view तो तुम डायरेक्ट नहीं दे सकते, लेकिन तुम अगर the very fact that you're writing the Ram Mandir, which will be inaugurated 22nd Jan, might probe people to watch this documentary and understand how relevant it is to the present time in terms of politics, religious fanaticism. The very fact that you're using the word religious fanaticism, which is a fact, of course, which is true. But then you do not know the politics or the ideology of the examiner, na? समझ गया ना? So अच्छा, ये तो अनन्या पान, ये तो लग रहा है नन्ना जो है ये थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट विंग वाली है. So they might figure out. So you have to play a little safe. How to play that safe, you need to understand. I mean, I can just make you aware. I cannot really put words into your mouth.
Yeah, sir.
So play a little safe, play a little balanced, be a little clinical, so that the question is a trick question. Otherwise, I mean, these kind of questions, Sukhdev is much more safer. Sukhdev also criticizes the Indian, this thing. If you're aware of Sukhdev films, he also does a critique of India. But he's not as kind of, doesn't take such a point of view as radical as, let's say, as radical as Anand Patwardhan. ठीक है ना? I wouldn't even call Anand Patwardhan radical. Anand Patwardhan का ये film बहुत ही relevant film, अच्छा film है, ठीक है? But maybe they're trying to test your politics. So be aware. Okay?
Yeah, sir. Yes.
Okay, chalo.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Praggi, हाँ आओ तुम.
Yes, sir.
करो.
So I developed a feature film story of 30 minutes short film on the lines. After doing my MBA, I decided to start a national chain of hot samosas in 15 minutes at your doorstep. Title: The Samosa Express. Characters: Sham, inconsistent yet intelligent. Kalki.
Just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, chalo, start.
Yeah, title: The Samosa Express. Characters: Sham,
Your voice is cracking.
yet
Hello?
intelligent. Kalki, Sham's mother, strong-headed business. So just a second, I'll put my earphones. Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll start again.
Hmm.
Title: The Samosa Express. Characters: Sham, inconsistent yet intelligent. Kalki, Sham's mother, strong-headed businesswoman who lost her husband at a young age. Karthik, Sham's friend. Plot: It's a story about an MBA student who is in his final year and decides to open a franchise of hot samosas. It's a short story about him coming up with his idea and further discussing it with his mother, who is a successful business person herself. Act 1. First 10 minutes. Sham is in his college canteen with his friend Karthik, enjoying a plate full of samosas. They both were chatting about how times have changed and how everyone is looking to earn more and more money. Suddenly, Shams interrupts Karthik and asks him for his opinion of Blinkit and Chai Sutta Bar. He answers one is a 10-minute doorstep grocery delivery service, while the other is a famous franchise that is always fun to visit. Sham interrupts him and asks, "What do you think if we combine them both?" Karthik was thrilled yet a bit anxious at the same time, as he knew of Sham's uncertain behavior. However, they both went on to discuss further. Act 2, 5 minutes. Sham was in his hostel room and was thinking of discussing it with his mom. Sham knew his mother would have her doubts if he shared with her, but he also knew that he would have to discuss this with her because not just was she her mother, but also was she a successful businesswoman. He nervously picked up the phone and dialed her number. Within a few seconds, Kalki had answered his call. Sham went on saying he had something important to discuss, and Kalki knew that it was again his son with a brand new idea. She listened and asked him to come home over for the weekend to discuss it further. Act 3, 15 minutes. Sham and Kalki were in the living room. Kalki knew her son well. Kalki initiated the conversation, but I guess I wrote the wrong name. Kirti asked Sham about his idea and asked him to pitch his idea if it to her like he would to his investors. Kalki thought that this would um, Kalki thought that this would be one of the ways to know two things. One, if he has planned it well, and if she would invest too. And second, if he is really serious. Sham initially thought it was a joke, so he started refusing and said words like, "No, ma, stop it, not now, ma." Kalki announced in sharp words, "Sham Singhania, right now, or you know what extent I can go to." Sham sensed the tone in her voice and started to compose himself and started talking. He speaks about the USP will be that I will serve hot samosas in 15 minutes at your doorstep, and one won't be compelled to go all the way to different shops in order to relish them. He goes on to talk about the owners of Blinkit and Chai Sutta Bar and the stories. Kalki was happy to see the seriousness and excitement in his son's eyes and smiled and said, "How about we name it Samosa Express?"
Look, I'll tell you one thing very fast. First of all, don't break when you're writing maybe you are aware of the 3-act structure or the 5-act structure. But even if you're aware of the 3-act structure, your distribution of the plot is not correct. Act 1 is 10 minutes and Act 2 cannot be 5 minutes. Act 2 should be 50 to 60% of the duration. Okay, Act 1 is like 20 to 25% of the duration. Act 2 is the bulk. Again, Act 3 is 20 to 25%. That should be the distribution of the plot. Okay, na? And Act 1 is basically the exposition by introducing the characters in their familiar world where they kind of, the dreams and ambitions, and also the drawbacks, their flaws. And something happens, they take and then they formulate the desire or objective. Act 2 is taken up entirely by they're trying to achieve that goal. And in your case, Sham is the main character, achieving to set up this company. Okay, and the problem that he faces. Because very good story, as I told you, film story, 3 elements are very important. There's a mention of the protagonist का मकसद क्या है, goal क्या है, desire क्या है, and the obstacles. Okay, because it cannot be a cakewalk. I desire something, I plan towards it, and I get it. It cannot be so easy. There has to be a stage of planning, of course, but then the protagonist has to face problems, obstacles. It cannot be a easy journey for him. Okay, so Act 2 is taken up by that series of obstacles, or the confrontation, or the conflict zone. Okay, and Act 3 is again, the resolution, the outcome of that struggle. Okay, so these are the 3 broad divisions. Don't mention act breaks when you're writing your answer. Okay, for FTI question paper. Okay, unless there's a specific question on the 3-act structure. Otherwise, you don't mention the 3-act structure. I don't think your film ends with the discussion with the mother. Okay, and so it looks very incomplete, because what happens? Iske baad hota kya hai? Okay, so the struggle तुमने नहीं दिखाया, तुमने सिर्फ planning stage में ही तुमने end कर दिया. So there is no sense of completion. Do you get me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Sir, in the plot, I've mentioned it that my story isn't about the planning thing. It's about the idea, and it's about the phase where he plans about it.
So
I've written it in the plot.
ठीक है, लेकिन even in that, तुम्हारा if you're making a film, if you're making a 30-minute film, why will people watch your film? Just to see the planning, the stage of planning.
Sir, I guess because okay, sir, but I was thinking that it would maybe because the mostly a new startup works on the ideating part. If we are able to communicate to the audience that this is the idea that the person has come up with, and then he's able to discuss about the marketing strategies, then will his startup be will be able to work. So I was thinking about building a story on the fact that his ideating and the brainstorming part, so that.
Is there any that in that case you have to foreshadow some kind of a conflict or some kind of a tension? यहाँ पे तुम्हारा what your story is lacking is tension. Tension is very important. Some kind of just a minute. Sanjeevan, hello. Then I'll reach there at 9 o'clock. Because I'll leave at 8. Okay. No, I have no idea, boss. I don't think dinner will be there. Just the other. Okay. I'll be there around 9:15. Okay, chal. हाँ 8 बजे तो I am having an online class, ठीक है ना? So I can leave only at 8. हाँ ठीक है, 8:30 बजे तक. Okay, चल, we'll meet there. Okay. Okay, so tension is very important. ठीक है, ये जो मैं प्लान कर रहा हूँ, मम्मी के साथ मीटिंग्स हो रहे हैं, ये क्या मेरा सक्सेस होगा? So leave it at that. So at least there's an element of tension, and an audience is curious. So you're ending on a ambiguous. Can you get me?
Yes,
hello?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
चलो अभी इसमें documentary film
Sir, this I have not attempted.
Again, देखो, you have not attempted this, ठीक है, लेकिन again don't break it into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, ठीक है, because it is very difficult to break a documentary into a 3-act structure or a 5-act structure. Okay, this is more applicable for everything has a structure. Either it's a good structure or a bad structure. The documentary definitely will have a structure, but how do you know it's going to have a 5-act structure or a 3-act structure? It's not so easy. Okay, in fact, the structure of a documentary film is determined during the edit. Okay, chalo. Dialogue scene bolo ha.
Develop a dialogue. Okay. So I'll begin with the answer. Characters Tia and Ruchit. Tia's father. Plot. Tia is in her pre-final year of BTech, recently joined a film club in college and was a part of drama societies. She had enrolled in a photography course. Tia's father was a business person and was a proud father. He always wanted his daughter to be a strong and confident and an independent woman.
No,
Ruchit had come to
again,
meet
let me
Tia
repeat,
at her hostel.
just a moment. Let me repeat for everybody again. He write in present tense. Don't write Tia's father was a businessman. Tia's father is a business person. Okay, na? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Continue. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello.
Bolo, bolo, हाँ पढ़ो.
Yeah. Ruchit had come to meet Tia at a hostel as she lived far from home. Tia. Hi, Dad. It's been a while. I miss home. Ruchit, Mishi, Tia's nickname. We miss you too, beta. It gets lonely without you, but life is all about going forward, right? Tia. Right, Dad. Let's talk about something else. Dad, remember about the film club I joined? Yeah, what about that? Tia, don't be upset. But Dad, I don't want to take up a job after BTech. Rather, after BTech, I want to join a film direction full-time course. Ruchit, confused, shocked, and a bit agitated. Okay, what? I know, Dad. Ruchit, what do you know exactly, beta? Do you realize this is not a random decision you have made up your mind with? This is not like CAT or UPSC we are talking here. This is Tia, Dad. I know it's a bit sudden, but the decision is not that sudden. I've been thinking about it for a while. Ruchit, it's just a phase. These things happen in college. You get attached very easily.
Hello. Continue.
Um, where is it?
I've moved on to the next page. Trust me,
Acha.
Dad.
Trust me, Dad. Had it been just a phase, it would have already been over. I was a part of drama societies, and with every play or any film club activity, I get thrilled even more. No, Mishi, you don't know the people out there, Dad, but people are like that everywhere, don't you think so? Mishi, no, Mishi, you don't understand. You won't have any stability in your life, too. I know the odds, Dad. I know what I'm asking is something very risky, but you take risks all the time at work, right? That's different. It's a calculated risk. Well, this is too. You just have to trust me. I have no options as of now. I think you should concentrate on your BTech completion first, take a job, and then we can discuss it later. Dad, you're just delaying the discussion. Mishi, I said what I did. What I said. Dad, I will try to win your confidence. Mishi, nobody more than me and your mom would ever want for you to be, would always want for you to be happy. But life is not like a bed of roses, it's rather full of thorns. Maybe what you are saying is genuine, but do you realize the repercussions of it if you fail? Yeah, Dad, but that's what the degree I'm studying for will be for. It's not as easy as you think. Dad, I respect you and Ma both, and not just because you are my parents, but it also comes from a from a place of confidence that you both show at work. I have admired you both whenever I used to be at work with you. Ma is a lawyer and it's tough job too, but she manages it all so gracefully. Dad, okay, let me think, Mishi. Chalo, I have to go. I have a flight to catch in time. Bye, Mishi. Take care.
Okay. Yeah, so Dad, that's why degree I'm studying before. It's not as easy as you think. Dad, I respect you and my both, and not just because you are my parents, but it also comes from a place of confidence that we both show at work. I admire you both whenever I used to be at work with you. Maya is a lawyer and it's tough job too, but she manages also gracefully. Okay, let me think, machine. Chalo. So it's inconclusive, but she has been able to kind of gear the father's.
Sir, I kept it in conclusive because I thought that this is a discussion that can't be just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. ठीक है. This
yeah.
is fair enough. I don't have any problem with it. Just I was seeing the progression, the organic structure basically, and it's within 500 words, 572 or 72. So, ठीक है. This is the best you could have done in the circumstances. ठीक है. And as I told you, always write in present tense, and your dialogues are like also very crisp. They're not lengthy paragraphs. Okay, so the once in a while you can have a lengthy paragraph. Just towards the end, Tia jab bolti hai na, Dad, I respect you, and the lengthy paragraph. But all the other dialogues, Dad ka bhi ek lengthy paragraph hai. Baki sab छोटे छोटे crisp lines, like arrows flying against each other. That should be this thing in a dialogue writing scene. Okay, chalo, fair enough. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So only 2 questions I've attempted.
I can see. Sukhdev or
Thank you.
Okay. Second. Yeah. We on here. We next is. How many students are left? Naman hai. और अभी कौन है? Aditya. Who's going to read now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aditya काफी दिनों बाद आए तो vanish थे.
Yes, sir. I had
You're from Banaras, na, Aditya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aditya, develop a story. Chalo, paro.
Yes, sir. So it's a bit blurry, not loading out nicely. I will just open it on my laptop.
Chalo, tum apna doc, read it from your own document.
It loaded, sir. Yes, sir. It loaded.
Chalo, okay.
Develop a feature film story of 30 minutes, short film. On the lines, after doing my MBA, I decided to start a national chain of hot samosa in 15 minutes at your doorstep. Answer. Do chai and samosa chotu, yelled Harjeet. Right up, bhaiya ji. Harjeet went on to express his disappointment with his job. Yar, Hardy sir's name was given to him by birth or character. I mean, I don't get it. What is he always so hard on about? His wife doesn't let him get hard back at home, I guess. Snided Rishabh. It was a hot sunny day, and Harjeet, although fair, was tanned and sweaty, looking tired. For God's sake, what did we even do MBA for? A rickshaw driver drives by and gets his samosa given to him by Chotu as he runs for it. What was that about, Chotu? Asked Rishabh. Bhaiya ji, he delivers samosa every day to Orion's office, bulk order. Rishabh was mad that they didn't receive such pleasantries in their office. Well, they were LPU graduates after all, working at a smaller firm. But Harjeet was lost in thought. What does he get for the delivery? Asked Harjeet. 30 rupees per delivery, distance of 2 kilometers. Only 30? I wouldn't do it for less than 50. Pick up on time and delivery. Stupid rickshawala, said Rishabh with a smirk. We can scale it, said Harjeet with a certain eureka energy. Rishabh was still clueless. I mean, I'm not willing to drive rickshaws to deliver samosa, but if it pays better, I may, said Rishabh. Harjeet looked stunned by the dumbfoundry of his fellow classmate from MBA. We won't drive, we would just have the steering, remarked Harjeet. Rishabh was still clueless. A year later, they both were sitting on the samosa stand, but now it was way bigger. Bulk orders from all over Noida's sweatshop order samosa from the service created by Harjeet and Rishabh. Rishabh finally answer. So, yes.
Understood. Huh?
Yes, just a second. Rishabh finally understood what and was instrumental in the success of the startup by incentivizing the rickshawala fairly, 50 rupees for 2-kilometer coverage, and coming up with a brand name, hot samosas in 15 minutes. They still needed to crack single delivery as samosas are very cheap. To their surprise, right in the visible range, another samosa establishment opened and he had customers too, right next to Harjeet and his headquarters. On an investors meet to raise funding to scale business in a fine resort, one with the swimming pool. They sat in shade next to the swimming pool. Rishabh wanted to swim. Harjeet warned against it because he will sink because he's too fat. I will float. No, you won't. You are not only wide, but dense too. Like 130 kgs for 5'8" is dangerous to even survive. Yeah, well, I have been eating a lot of samosas lately because of you, reasoned Rishabh. Something struck Harjeet. Investors showed up, and their chief concern was how would they afford delivery service for something as cheap as samosa. Harjeet said the density of samosa shops in India makes the delivery range very short, and the amount of consumption and orders would create bulk impression. Evident if we look at our co-founder Rishabh right here. Investors agreed.
Okay. This is witty. So, yeah, what I like about it, but it is not well structured. ये जो बिजनेस का जो ये जो धंधा है इनका, हाँ, काइंड ऑफ ये जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और थोड़ा सा तुम्हें इंटेंसिफाई करना जरूरी था, मतलब द कंसर्न्स, the problems that they anticipate or they're facing, the competition, and kind of,
Yes, sir.
they need to raise more money, so they're having a meeting with the investors. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
all these are basically conflict zone, isn't it? It's not so easy.
Yes, sir.
तुम्हारा दिमाग में आ गया एक बिजनेस आइडिया, लेकिन वो इम्प्लीमेंट करना उतना इजी नहीं है, बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स और चैलेंजेस है,
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना?
Sir,
हाँ
I tried to come up with solutions organically
हाँ
in the
हाँ,
face
नहीं
of
सही
this.
है, सही है, हाँ, तो
Fine.
इसीलिए I'm saying I don't have much problems, only it could have been a better structured, ठीक है ना? लेकिन
Yes.
इतना कम टाइम में भी तुम्हें वो प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चरिंग के लिए you need to go through several
Yes, sir.
rewrites. It's not so easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Exactly.
this is fair enough. This is good, in fact. ठीक है? Okay, चलो, and CBT also. Okay, चलो, हाँ बोलो.
Yes, sir. I'll continue. Write a cinematic treatment of making a documentary film on Indian sari. Answer. I will start with a mother, a wife, and a woman wearing a sari with pride.
Just a
grooming
moment,
her.
just a moment, just a moment. Don't,
Yes.
whenever you're writing for exams or even professionally, when you're pitching a subject, suppose you're pitching for funds, you want to make a documentary on saris or whatever is your subject. Don't write I. Don't make it so personal.
Yes.
Don't write it in first person. ठीक है ना? The film starts with a mother, a wife, and a woman. They are wearing a sari with pride, grooming her. Like that.
Yes, sir.
As
Yes.
you're the observer, you're the camera, you're observing what's happening. Okay, chalo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The film starts with a mother, a wife, and a woman wearing a sari with pride, grooming herself with a smile on her face. How that sari adds to the beauty of the individual and the society can be remarkably felt. Anshabhi, rewind karo. Yes, can be remarkably felt with her kids running around in the background or her husband appreciating her. Then I would dive into how it was born, its historical significance as a piece of clothing, and how it gained cultural significance.
So you could have written it like this. From this scene, the film would go back into history and explore the historical significance as a piece of clothing and how it gained cultural significance.
Yes,
समझ
sir,
गया
yes,
ना?
sir.
That should
Yes,
be
sir, yes, sir.
that should have
The
been your
trick
language.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
In an infotainment style, in an infotainment style with motion graphics, we will see on the map exactly where the development happened, the timeline when it happened, and the shots are created with mise-en-scene to make us travel back in the old days. I may present stories of mighty women who worked for the evolution of sari and who wore it. From a more artistic standpoint, the movie dives into diversity of saris, how various states gave their own take, and duly recognized significant contributions of people who made it happen. The Banarsi sari, for example, is on the heavier side. My mother saves it for really special occasions. It makes her feel pretty and esteemed and proud of her answer page.
Yeah, contributions to our life.
And proud of her contributions to our life. I will capture the emotional impact and the technical developments that created it. I will run a parallel, black and white, for the craftsmanship and colored version of its impact. Women owning the sari as their heritage, be it cleaning her little boy's runny nose in her pallu, hiding something precious in her blouse, or living their daily life in the comfort of a sari. The utilitarian and heritage reasons that made sari survive westernization, in fact, globalized sari as well. Lastly, I would emphasize the aesthetic appeal of a sari. I can remember when I saw my childhood love in that sari on farewell. I will develop such a scene around a character we have seen in the series so far as a flashback. How it enchanted me. It wasn't the sari, it was her. Yet I believe looking at her in that sari made me aware of how much I loved her. That's how pretty a woman looks, and I would make sure to communicate that. Also, I would mention the inconvenience sari causes as well. Harder to use the restroom, and women may know a lot more. I heard them complain often. I think it also captures the struggle of being a woman well. Looks eventually do matter, and women especially have it harder in terms of dressing. That is their boon and bane. Like their selfless love, it may hurt, but it's an integral part.
Okay. Very well written. Just the I think should have not been there. First person narrative. Okay. And also the disadvantages or the inconveniences of wearing a sari, that also you have mentioned, which is good. Okay, because it is also a very, it might be graceful, but it's also very inconvenient. That is there, of course.
Yes,
That
sir.
is why a lot of women don't prefer to wear saris to the
Yes, sir.
workplaces. Traveling becomes a major a problem. Traveling in crowded buses and share autos and all that. So, this
Yes,
is
sir.
fair enough. I don't have a problem, and very well done. It's very witty also. And it's just that the second last paragraph where you're talking about a girl whom you knew, your first love maybe. तो अगर तुम first person नहीं लिख रहे हो तो वो कैसा दिखाओगे? Then you have to think how
Yes,
to
sir. I have to manipulate that a
maybe
little and present
maybe
it
you
as
can
a
have
thing.
a fictional episode.
Yes, sir.
This could be a fictional episode where you have an actor acting, looking at the girl
Yes,
he
sir.
loves. Okay,
Yes, sir.
stuff like that, or an interview, maybe through an interview with somebody. Okay, where the man is talking about his first love when he first saw her in a sari, kind of. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, this is this.
Yes, sir. I got that. Yes, sir.
Okay, so bus chalo, this is fair. Or if you are having an interview, just don't, in case you want to have an interview, just don't have one interview. Have at least 3 interviews. Not
Okay.
2 interviews, at
Sure.
least 3. Matlab, 3 or 5, odd numbers, even odd numbers bolte hai na, 3 ko odd number bolte hai na, 3, 5,
Yes, sir.
7.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Odd numbers create a rhythm, isn't it?
Okay.
So,
Yes, sure.
interview with an old woman, she has always worn saris all her life. Interview with a young woman who once in a while wears saris, and the disadvantages that she faces, and the feeling of empowerment also that she faces. And an interview with a man who loves saris, and he reminisces about his girlfriend the first time he saw her in a sari, how
Yes,
he
sir.
fell in love. So at least there should be
Yes, sir.
3 interviews. फटाक से एक इंटरव्यू डाल दिया, ऐसा नहीं होनी चाहिए. ठीक है ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It was
Chalo,
good.
then
Good.
question number 3.
Develop a dialogue sequence between you and your father when you tell him that you want to join film director course after doing your BTech. Answer: I want to make films. Spat Adi in a blip with sheer fear in the voice. What? You are an engineer. I have been trying, Dad, to do this, but it's just not me. So what makes you a filmmaker? Little theater you did in college? I mean, I understand I'm unqualified and probably not even sure of how things will turn out. But those moments I did theater, that kept me there. Nothing else, be it partying or learning. Sheer silence. Dad resumes reading the newspaper, picks up the tea in his trembling hand. Dad, what is it? So ungrateful, said the dad. Tea spills. Oh my God, Dad, are you okay? No, I am not. I am tired and old and my wrist hurts. You must see a doctor. I will take you. No, I may not. Why? And then absolute silence prevails again. I get it. I mean, I don't understand. Why can't you have a conversation? Like, he ignores him. Dad ignores him. I never wanted to do engineering. You could just come up to me with the admission form. You just came up to me with admission form. I had no choice left. I couldn't let that fees go down the drain. I filled up the form for you because I knew you were upset after failing JEE, and I saw how miserable you were in your prep days. I let you have the private college life by working twice as hard. You cried to your mother every little inconvenience you faced. Well, guess what? Life is hard. I won't go to the doctor because I spent all that money on you. Why was I miserable? Why was I miserable? Did you bother to ask that? Was it because I was bad at it, or was it because that was not what I wanted to do? But you won't understand. Indian dads have given up their emotional self, and Indian dads have given up their emotional self and are unable to look their son in the eyes as if we are fucking failures unless we do as they command. Dad sets down the newspaper, looks Adi straight in the eye. Well, here's how I feel. I have worked very hard, compromised everything for my family. My passion, my joy, my time, and my body without asking anyone for it, without anyone asking for it. I deserve to breathe now, but I don't expect shit from you no more. Do as you wish. You are right, Dad. You deserve a break. I will find a job and be as miserable as you are right now. I do appreciate you, you know that. Excellent provider, great husband, and an arrogant father. Just do as you wish to. My arrogance has brought you a safety net to fall back on, he said in the coldest way possible. Adi didn't know if it was his dad giving up on him or it was his best attempt to allow liberty. That was the best he could do, though. Adi had to accept it. he found a job and took his father to an ortho doctor. He did theater on weekends.
Okay, so it doesn't apply for filmmaking course.
No, sir. In this version, he does.
Okay, chalo. But at least the argument with father and son.
The more rational argument to me felt like he should be doing job for a while at least, and then he
Okay,
might
then
get
apply
into
maybe later because there are a lot
yeah.
of
So that
students
is why he did theater on weekends. I had done.
Oh, ऐसा बहुत students हैं जो have been working in the bank for 10 years and then they join FTI at the age of 42 or 43. ऐसा
Yes,
बहुत
yes, exactly.
yes,
That was my point. Yes, sir.
ठीक है चलो fair enough. Okay, चलो अभी कौन है जितिन with there.
So any critique on that, on this one, is this answer? Any critique on this answer?
क्या बोल रहे हो?
Critique on this answer, this answer.
नहीं,
On this
this is fair enough. As I told you, as I was telling the others, whenever you're writing dialogues, for whatever scene, okay,
yes,
you should close your eyes, become the character, okay,
yes,
and then act out the dialogues. तुम अगर इंटेलेक्चुअली सोचोगे तो लंबे लंबे बनेंगे, लिटरेरी बन जाने का चांस है. तुम्हारा उतना नहीं है. तुम्हारा और लाइंस जितना छोटी होनी चाहिए, क्रिस्प लाइंस, टक 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 टक. Maybe suddenly there's a long lamba paragraph by the father, lecture mode में चला गया. Then again a short paragraph, short paragraph, short line, short line, short line, short. Okay, so yours उतना problematic नहीं है, लेकिन this is fair enough, and the ending is also a little unusual. He decides not to sit for the exams, and ठीक है तुम्हारा. और the main problem I had is with the other question where you had written in first person. Which you should have done.
Yes, sir, I got that. Yes, sir. Cinematic fiction, we have to write what we do. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
ठीक है चलो अभी कौन? नितिन ना?
Yes, sir.
चलो नितिन.
Develop a feature film story of 30-minute short film on the lines. After doing my MBA, I decided to start national chain of hot samosa. It's noon time. Near the Mangal beach side, the cameras are focusing on a man who is probably in his 30s. Suraj. He is well dressed, has long hair, which is not properly combed, and has no facial hairs. The interviewer and Suraj seems to be enjoying the moment. After a pause, the interviewer asked him, after completing your MBA, what did you decide to do? Suraj smiled and stared into the camera for a while. Back at his college time, Suraj always felt like he didn't belong there. Most of the students are actively participating in celebrations, competitions, and something else. While Suraj was so introverted, he never attended any gatherings. He was always on his own. Most of the time, he would be in the library. The librarian is so close with Suraj. One day when the librarian put Suraj in charge due to some emergency he had, Suraj given out a book to Chitra, who was his senior. But she didn't return it even after a while. So Suraj was in charge of returning the book. And he started chasing Chitra. But Chitra always escapes when she sees sight of Suraj because she had lost the book. She was very active, and unlike Suraj, she was popular in college. As the chase continues, Suraj and Chitra becomes so close. Eventually, they fall in love. As some say, opposite poles attract each other. College days were full of bright colors. But the life after college was different. Suraj had a plan of going to Denmark. But an incident occurred which changed everything. The pillar of his family, his father, passed out due to a sudden cardiac arrest. Soon, Suraj realizes that he must sacrifice his dreams for his family because spending that much for his Denmark trip will become a burden for his family. So he joins a private firm in his town. Chitra was always there for him, providing mental support in each situation. After a year, his sister's marriage was fixed, and during that time, there was pressure for Chitra from her relatives to get married. The time was so hard for Suraj. as he must provide financial support to his sister. Chitra wanted an assurance which at that time Suraj could not give. They quarreled. Suraj said, "My family is my priority and everything else is secondary." They broke up. Chitra got married at the same time as his sister. Suraj got his sister married as his father dreamed of, but he was never the same after that. He slowly moves into depression. He becomes unproductive and loses his job. For a long time, he did nothing. He started the habit of smoking. His friends and relatives started to advise him, "You graduated MBA. Why are you wasting your life? What are you planning to do?" Suraj turned his face from camera to the interviewer. "After doing my MBA, I decided to start a national chain of hot samosa in 15 minutes at your doorstep." Interviewer asked, "Why samosa?" Rain starts. It's heavy. The interview must wind up for today. The crew starts packing the properties. Suraj and the interviewer run towards Suraj's beach resort. A woman comes with a towel on her one hand and the other hand has a plate of samosas. Suraj introduced his wife, Deepthi, to the interviewer. After breakup, Suraj goes to tea stall nearby regularly for smoking. Deepthi was the daughter of the tea stall owner. She cooks the best samosa in the town. At first, Suraj didn't have any interest in snacks, but someday he ate a samosa. Then he ate it daily. Slowly, the cigarette in his hand was replaced by samosa. Deepthi still has doubts that is it her or her samosa. Suraj fallen in love with.
यहाँ पे क्या है? It's an interesting story that you have written. Okay, but you have not addressed the question. You have taken a lot of time building up towards how he got into the samosa business. So that constitutes the later part of the story. That too, kind of the last two paragraphs. So you have not you have moved away from the main question. So that is not desired, na?
Sir, I was kind of setting up for the.
No. Don't set up, especially in a short film which is 30 minutes long. You cannot take up so much of time to set up. You're wasting time by having the interview set up. Then you're wasting time by getting into the background, the backstory. The father suffers a cardiac arrest. He cannot go to Netherlands, and he has this affair with this girl called Chitra, and she gets married to somebody else, and he's heartbroken, and he has to marry off his sister. So you're wasting a lot of time building up the background. Okay, in a film nowadays, not only nowadays, in most films, we try to either get rid of the backstory entirely, or even if you have a backstory, as short as possible. Okay, but you are spending 80% of your story on the backstory and not on the main story, which is the present story. Okay, so that is not something which is desired. Follow? Okay. Chalo, chalo in documentary film on Sari.
Okay. Write a cinematic treatment of making a documentary film on Indian sari. Behind the beauty. Introduction. Graphical image of ancient woman with clothes made of plants, raw materials fading away, showing different form of clothes developed early, changing to first recorded image of woman who dressed in sari. Images of famous women from ancient times to modern India dressed in sari is represented. Change in cloth culture of women in India is narrated in the background. The survival of sari in this culture till now with changes in way of dressing and designs is highlighted. Videos of women using sari for both traditional and western type functions is shown. The importance of sari in Indian wedding is narrated and shown. Include designs of different wedding saris will show how silk sari is one of the most expensive and commonly used wedding saris in India. But who is behind these creations? Conflict. From an aerial viewpoint, we see the lands and house of Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu. Introduction to the community from which Most of them are engaged in making silk saris. The vast number of saris produced per year from Kumbakonam is highlighted. The livelihood of weavers and their houses are shown. Interviewers will ask about their struggle, show their poor lifestyle and how they earn less. Will compare the prices of silk saris brought directly from them and from a textile.
Very good, very good. You brought in the contrast and the conflict. Okay, this is very good. Then corruption.
Corruption. The demand for sari in India and the global increase in demand is shown. Higher social status attached to the high price of sari is shown. The firms which retails silk sari will be represented and will highlight their financial status. Some of the companies even attract capital from foreign firms. We'll show the wholesale purchase made by these firms from the Kumbakonam weavers. Different marriage functions with bride dressed in sari is shown. The interviewer will ask the price of wedding sari in each wedding. We'll highlight how a middle class family will easily spend rupees 20,000 to 40,000 for wedding saris. Ending. We'll show the difference in dressing of a viewer's family to that of the ones who consume. The dressing of their children is necessary. The documentary will end with a marriage function of someone who belongs to the Kumbakonam community.
Very good. I love the way you have brought in the contrast and the conflict, the contradictions. While at one end, you have this glamorous, this thing, and the kind of cultural aspect of this age-old tradition of saris and all. On the other hand, you have shown the people, the conditions that they live in, the poor conditions, etc., etc. So this is a very good approach. Yeah, it's quite admirable, in fact. Nothing to say much. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, chalo, dialogue scene.
Develop a dialogue sequence between you and your father. Jittu, a young man in his 20s, is sitting in the wooden chair, typing something on his phone. His mother is busy as she is getting ready to leave for marriage reception nearby. After a while, mother, Jittu, I'm leaving. Can you please lock the gate from inside? Mother, loudly, always on his phone. Jittu didn't speak a word. He follows her, closes the gate from inside, and then returns to house. He heads towards his father, who is currently sitting in hall, and is engaged in reading some novel. Jittu, Papa, do you have a minute? I want to narrate you a story. Father puts the book on the table. He turns his head upwards. Father, story? Why? What happened? Papa, I thought if I have the confidence to face you and tell a story, I can face anyone in the world and tell my story. Tell your story? Why? Oh, you haven't given up on your dream of becoming a film director. You haven't said anything about that since you joined BTech. Now, what has happened? The dream was always there. I thought it is better that I complete my graduation and proceed further. Anyway, graduation is necessary for getting an admission at Film and Television Institute of India. Listen, son, we don't have any film background. We are a middle class family with no financial stability, political connections, or anything. It is not easy to even appear on a small scene in cinema. The first man ever to do a film also had no film background, Papa. I don't believe I am extra talented or something, but I do believe with hard working, anything is possible. You got a graduation. It is not so hard for you to get a job in IT field. It is more secure and less difficult. What about my passion? The world doesn't work like that, son. You don't even been to a shooting set. Papa, that's why I had decided to study film by joining study. You don't have the resource and time to chase cinema. I'm getting retired soon. The house needs to be rebuilt. House loan is pending. I don't have and won't intend to spend money on this. Jittu looks at his father for a while. Now I have second thoughts. Father looked at him with a gentle smile. Jitu, not because of what Papa said, but I realized I can't even convince my Papa, who listened to me and who was always there for me when I needed him. If I can't even convince you, how am I going to convince the interviewers to select me? Some production house to fund my project, actors to come in. I was confident that I would make cinemas. I would be financially independent and we will have everything I dreamt of, but not anymore. Jitu walks away with a pain he never felt before. At night, Jitu is sleeping. He heard someone knocking on his door. He wakes up, walks towards the door, opens the door. It's his papa. Jitu, what happened? Father, go, pursue your dream.
So he was talking to an imaginary father. Father was dead or something like that?
What? What, sir?
He was talking to an imaginary father. The father was dead or what? Because
No, sir. No, sir. He walks away. Then he rethinks and he only come after so much of thought.
Practice. That's he practices it in his imagination. Is that so?
No, sir. This is not imagination. He talks to his real father, but the father takes time. He thinks about what his son said, and he returns to him at his at night.
The last page, not because of what Papa said, but I realized I can't even convince my Papa. So who is he talking to? Jitu, who listens to me? He's talking to the father only, huh?
Father only, but he didn't.
Not because of what father. I got a little confused. Okay, this is fair enough. It's just that, again, as I was telling the others, your lines should be a little shorter. Dialogue should always be a little shorter and crisper. The content I agree with. I have no problems with the content, but whenever you're writing dialogues, close your eyes, you become the character, and then act out the dialogues and write the dialogues. Okay, it should be much more easy on the tongue. Let's say there's one place you've written, that is why I want to getting an admission at FT. Instead of writing film school, you've written Film and Television Institute of India. Now, nobody speaks such a lengthy phrase. Okay, you will say, anyway, graduation is necessary for getting an admission at the film school. What you have done, you have written, anyway, graduation is necessary for getting an admission at Film and Television Institute of India. We don't talk like that. We always talk in short, clipped sentences. Okay, must be easy on the tongue. Otherwise, it's good. Okay, chalo paro abhi. Ram ke naam, Anand Patwardhan.
Ram ke naam, in the name of God, by Anand Patwardhan. Sir, question is about appreciation of film, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Social relevance. Address the rise of hate.
Let me read it. It addresses the rise of hate amongst people, how political and religious groups with agenda win in spreading hate and violence. And it addresses the tension between Muslim community and Hindu community in India, which most of us fear to address, and even the administration lays a closed eye. This is also relevant in current India as people are divided more often in the name of caste and religion. Different perspective. The film shows different perspectives. The film addresses the attack led by mob on Babri Masjid, which led to its demolition, and the riots happened parallel in India. Patwardhan covered opinions of people from both communities. His work included views of Hindutva leaders, people from both upper caste and lower caste, priests, Muslim leaders, and common man. Also covered views of the people who are not directly affected by the tension. Voice of the people, even after covering views from different famous personalities, Patwardhan highlighted the views of common people in his documentary. More time is allocated to present the views of people living in slums and in poor situations where their problem isn't based on Mandir or earning enough to survive a day. Visual footage, the documentary not only narrates the journey of mob towards Babri for its demolition, but also includes clear and continuous footage of their journey. The footage of mob fighting with police, Radha Yatra, and mob gatherings are included. So you have written also about the treatment a little bit. Liberal stand through Patwardhan, though Patwardhan included different perspectives, he always has a clear stand. He takes a liberal and rational perspective to the widespread hate and mob violence. His documentary clearly indicates that the filmmaker is not happy with the scenario and he wants the communal violence and the riots to stop. Then horror. The documentary doesn't have any supernatural element, but will create a feeling of horror in mentally stable humans as the pace of the incidents narrated is such. The dead bodies of innocent people who are the victims of hate politics is horrifying to watch. Also, the amount of people who have murdered is listed, which is heartbreaking to watch. A priest who took a stand against Babri demolition is shown in documentary highlighting his views. He was murdered a year later after the interview, and which was spotted in the work. It will haunt the viewers for a while. Use of titles such as Ram Kenan is a bold attempt. The name itself provides multiple meanings based on the incidents highlighted in the documentary. The communal violence is started in the name of the god. All the murders in both the sides committed by fanatics were in the name of the god. To me, the title felt like a question from Patwardhan pointing to the fanatics in the name of God. Very good. लेकिन यहाँ पे क्या है, as I was pointing out to other students also, this is Naman. I think you're there, Naman?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are left. We'll deal with you tomorrow. Okay, na? First thing. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
We don't have time today.
Yes, sir.
Jitin, as I told you, there are some trick questions being asked nowadays to test your political affiliations. So now this is a trick question because you have to, if you have to write on so you have to be very careful. I'm telling you very frankly.
Being genuine, this article, this statement I wrote was kind of diplomatic from my side because I had extremist view in this manner.
So you have to be more diplomatic. More questions like this will come. Even samosa as a business is a kind of a, the story behind that. Why do business? You can do your own business by selling samosas. Okay,
sir, I want your view, sir. Is it appear to be somewhat diplomatic? Or
this is good. This is good, of course. I mean, this is the best one can talk about, and this is actually what the film talks about. It's a very balanced film. But unfortunately, even your balanced and diplomatic answers can be misinterpreted. You cannot be more diplomatic than this, isn't it?
Yes, I cannot be more diplomatic.
देखो ये danger लगा यार. So you never know. This is unofficial.
Actually, Patwardhan is my favorite documentary filmmaker.
He's a great filmmaker, of course.
So I can't be no more diplomatic in this.
Anyway, so one has to be a little balanced, be a little careful in today's times. Okay, and you're grown up enough to decide how to deal with the situations. Okay.
I didn't mention the so-called political parties' names.
No, of course not. Of course not. Okay, this is fair enough. ठीक है, चलो, a good session. नमन का कल पढ़ लेंगे हम लोग. Okay. Or tomorrow we are meeting at 6 or 7. Naresh will let you know. Either we are meeting at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Okay, na?
Yes, sir.
So you'll be informed accordingly. Okay.
So I have a very.
Bolo?
Yes, so the exposure of known filmmakers and the important films in the history of Indian cinema. Are we really like we have to be exposed to that? And
you are required to be exposed to everything. As I was telling you, you were absent in a couple of classes before, unfortunately. But I mean, that's not possible also. But you never know questions. Questions you never know. So it's better to acquaint yourself with all kinds of filmmakers and all kinds of filmmaking movements and styles and everything.
Often doesn't inspire, like certain filmmakers don't inspire me.
So, that's true. But if a question comes on, suppose a question comes on today, just like Ram Kenan, and you have not seen any of his films. So what will you write? Isn't it?
Yes,
so that is the situation. I mean, one has to deal with it. So for the sake of examination, it's better you acquaint yourself with all kinds of filmmakers and filmmakers. Not only films, cultural affairs, folk art, traditional art, folk forms, everything. Okay.
It's a paper. Yes, the first part where the objective type is, it is I can understand there, but in the subjective type, it really makes me feel weird about it because I watched Satyajit Ray's movie and the first one of that Abu trilogy. Yes, sir. And I couldn't enjoy it at all.
You didn't enjoy it because you're not used to those kind of films. You're not used to the present generation. Not used to that kind of film. So certain films, certain kind of music, classical, Indian classic. You need to be trained and something for the film appreciation. Okay, so nobody is going to blame you because from your birth you have been exposed to television and world cinema and stuff which are very, very commercial and market oriented. So suddenly something entirely different comes and you watch that film, you may not like it. So there's nothing, no harm in it. Okay, but then one has to understand why that film is so popular, why that film is so important. That you have to understand. Okay, because there'll be so many other filmmakers and so many other films which you may not like because you're not used to those kind of. You're not used to such. The people. I'm not used to Carnatic vocals. Okay, so if you play Carnatic vocals for me, I'll get a little kind of agitated. Does not mean Carnatic vocals is bad or it's not relevant. It is. It has its place. No, but then one has to get acquainted with Carnatic vocals, Carnatic music, or any kind of music or musical form. So that is there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we'll discuss tomorrow, whatever, because
sir, about the exposure of films as Aditya said. So सत्यजीत रे का तो तब भी थोड़ा बहुत सिनेमा लोगों को पता भी है. Filmmakers like Shyam Benegal and Govind Nihalani are completely forgotten. People don't know Moneykall, and so इसके लिए सर मैं ऑडियंस को नहीं बोलूंगा, but I think ये कहीं ना कहीं इन फिल्म को ठीक से मार्केट भी नहीं किया गया था.
Of course.
पैरेलल सिनेमा एक ऐसा एक बदनुमा दाग बन चुका है कि लोग जानते ही नहीं है.
नहीं, ये देखो बदनाम क्यों है, ये हम लोग कल डिस्कस करेंगे. हाँ, ये गलत एक एटीट्यूड है लोगों का, क्रिटिक्स का, एस्टैब्लिशमेंट का, कि पैरेलल सिनेमा इज बोरिंग, पैरेलल सिनेमा इज नॉट एंटरटेनिंग. ये गलत एटीट्यूड, ठीक है ना. तो ये मामले में हम लोग कल डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है.
Yes sir, I think even those filmmakers जिन्होंने फिल्म बनाई खुद से भी शायद उसको बहुत ज्यादा मार्केट या पॉपुलराइज करने की कोशिश करी नहीं, शायद एक पर्टिकुलर ऑडियंस के लिए.
I'll tell you why it happened. And tomorrow we'll discuss this. ठीक है, चलो, we'll end this session today. Okay, चलो, bye bye.
Thank you sir.
Okay, bye bye. Find out about tomorrow's timing. 6 बजे से होगा या 7 बजे से होगा, ठीक है.